Justin Wami was stopping training during the week and eyeballing his players and calling them out for standards that weren't good enough, expecting another response. And it's been a few times this year that he's had to step up and do that.
Well, I think Justin's doing a pretty good job of holding them accountable. It's just the players at this point in time aren't actually delivering on the field. 3-3, had the opportunity last week to take down Melbourne only by 10 points, but they come up against the team tonight, Scotty, that is in red hot form. Probably should be 5-1, and they've got stars everywhere, the Crows. And I think what I've liked most this year, yes, we know they can score well, but their defence, their contest, and their stoppage work has been supreme.
Yeah, it has. I mean, I'd like to focus on the stoppage side of things and what they've been doing in the middle of the ground. Jordan Dawson just having an elite year. I think Saligo has been to another level. I think he was playing well last year, but he's gone to another level this year. And you couple that with Crouch and then Isaac Rankine, he's not a wild card anymore. He's an out-and-out midfielder.
Bona fide star, Isaac Rankine. And so, two of these two players, the skippers, Jordan Dawson, what a player he has been. Doesn't necessarily get tagged as much anymore because he's the one that he's the beneficiary of the likes of Rankine and Saligo and these types who are really the dynamic ones.
Just happy, a 30-year member of Fremantle, a veteran, getting the opportunity, told by Alex Pearce during the week that he's going to toss the coin. So a really nice moment there with the scene set for this one as we are ready to go. Terrific to have this match on ANZAC Day itself, something Fremantle have done so well across the journey. 28th time this is the Len Hall tribute match. They missed 2 during pandemic times as well, but something that Fremantle certainly want to have as a permanent
Should get every year, perhaps. The work the club's done at recognising the Anzacs over 28 years and basically since the start. Yes, Collingwood and Essendon do it really well in Melbourne, but we'd love to see this a permanent fixture.
What they did pre-game, Pav, this was a standing ovation, packed house here at Optus Stadium. They had veterans walking on the inside of the ground and it was moving, and they've done it really well over here. You can see the scene that they're putting on tonight. This is a great night stadium. The lights, the way this plays under lights is terrific. It's going to be a great game tonight, perhaps.
It certainly is. Troy up there, the rocker on the roof, ready to go. And 2 teams as we get set and ready to go. 2 teams who may be on a similar trajectory this season. 2 teams starved to success in recent times. The Crows, no finals in the last 7 seasons. Freo, only 2 finals in the last 9 years. Both teams expected to rise in 2025. Which one can stake a claim right here, right now? Optus Stadium, we are set to go with the ball bounced in the middle of the ground, and Darcy and O'Brien will just clash into each other. Sarong will get it out to Darcy, and the first possession and kick will go to half forward. And Cumming gets back to take a terrific mark for the Crows.
Well, he's been a great acquisition, hasn't he? He's fitted in nicely. They went and got the players they wanted to get. Peatling back into the side as well this week.
Cumming will kick the ball wide and find Peatling on cue.
Well, they filled some holes, didn't they? They knew what they wanted and they went and got it.
Dangerous ball. Johnson lunging late, infringed over the shoulder. Bright start will be crucial for both teams. Brayshaw trying to put his body on the line.
Well, you can see the intent from Fremantle. They're trying to get up and stop these short kicks, but Adelaide's skills are right on early.
It's really well done by Neil Bullen. Another one of those players brought into the side, and he'll heave it long up the line. Big pack form. Ryan didn't really impact. Spills out the back for Dawson, who's trying to burst on towards the footy. Pearce up to meet it as well. And they lock up, and we'll get a ball up inside 50 for the Crows.
So a couple of matchups at either end. You've got Josh Tracy being minded by Nick Murray. That's quite interesting to see how that one plays out. Up the other end, a couple of mouth-watering battles as well. Alex Pearce with Taylor Walker.
Young did well to get the hands out to Brayshaw. And then Johnson being pushed to the line, lost out to Rankine. Neil Bullen is there, and it's going to come back. The initial throw, I think, was called on Rankine.
Yeah, that's the other matchup I'm looking forward to. Rankine and Young, there's a little throw.
A big throw.
Big throw, should I say, perhaps? But that matchup in the midfield, Young and Rankine, I'm not sure how much time they will actually spend on one another, but fascinating the skill set those two players possess and what that could play out like tonight.
Brayshaw to Clark. This is where Fremantle found themselves trapped when they get stuck, not able to move the footy quickly. How do they find a way through? Young with not too many options long, so content to go short back to Clark.
Well, they're number 2 in the competition at long kicks this year, so that's 4 short kicks to start this game. I said at the start they have to play a different way. Perhaps this is it.
Adelaide well set up down the line. As the long kick goes, Dawson was bucked out of it early.
Yeah, Josh Tracy, the beneficiary of that free kick, and a bit of slow play early from both teams, just feeling one another out, not wanting to move the ball quickly. Both defences set up well.
Amos was in a wrestle with Keane at the goal square. A kick goes in that direction now. He outbodied him in the end. It spills away. The Crows in defence, desperate. McDonald tried to crash through. They do want to get it out to O'Brien. They couldn't clear the kick. And now it's Brayshaw trying to take the game on. Darcy to Johnson with some space. Back to Tracy from outside 50. Wants to set them on the way with a long bomb goal. Josh Tracy from range. The big Kahuna firing it up. And the Freo with the first.
Don't you love a key forward that says, righto, give me the ball and have a shot from outside of 50. We don't necessarily see that often, but what I did like here, control play in, so they hit it to the hot spot, if you like, but skinny, so they're able to defend behind that entry. Adelaide actually won the ball. And what about that finish off a step?
You know that I'm usually a back man, but I do like this Kahuna. Josh Tracy, he's big, he's strong. He was looking nowhere else but dropping this straight through the middle of the goals. He's powerful. Look at him, he's pumped up. That's a beautiful goal. A great start from Freo as well.
Just needs to work on his high five action here. Have a look as it stumbled.
I've had issues with that already this season.
But what a finish that was.
Throwing the high fives around willy-nilly as the ball's back in the middle. Darcy able to knock it down. Saligo in there. It was just the start the Dockers were chasing and holding the ball to call here too. Saligo dragging it back in.
That's a harsh call.
Dockers want to go. Clark will bomb it in. Amos was there. Good spoil away by Keane. Miller could have been taken high. He was.
Well, this is Josh Tracy putting pressure on him. We know he likes to do that. He just gets that slightly wrong there, but you can see very early Fremantle bringing this defensive intent.
The Crows pinned in their back half. Curtin nudged underneath it, and Draper intercepts.
Who like the fact he's playing on something about his own size last week. Had to take care of Cozzy Pickett. Well, Dan Curtin's more his type of player.
Rolling with the glove tonight as he goes long. Tracy was there, 2 Crows up. Bolton, Switkowski at the spill. Bolton always dangerous. Crows close it down.
So Shea Bolton, unsurprisingly, has got Michael Addy. So he gets the hard matchups every week. He's had a brilliant season so far. Shea Bolton off the big game last week.
It'd be interesting to see what his midfield mix is tonight, because Michael Addy is a very good defender, so they want to drag him up the field if they can.
20 disposals, 3 goals last week for Bolton. As now Peatling will escape with the footy for the Crows. Up the line to the one-on-one. Brennan Cox was trying to see it to the boundary. And they've got some extra numbers. Pearce to Ryan, defensive trio, are able to extricate it and set it up towards Amos, punched away by Keane. In fact, it'll stay in play. Coming and Laird. And then they'll go all the way back inside defensive 50.
It's really good defence from Keane, not allowing that easy hit up on Amos. He actually had a step or two, but Keane really closed him.
Kicks to a 50-50 out. And Curvis kept it alive. Frederick was clean initially, and then Miller has got him, and we'll get a stoppage. Frenetic start to this one.
So Fremantle playing. You can see Shea Bolton just heading into this stoppage. He's trying to drag Michael Addy up, as we talked about, and then 4 forwards ahead of the play.
Young, Darcy in there. Sean Darcy, surprisingly, 4 disposals last week, the lowest actually of his career. 2 of them happened to be goals as well. But it was up against Max Gawn.
Max Gawn is in wonderful form, winning the medal last night, but Sean Darcy needs to respond.
Third game back now is Warner. After the free kick, they go inside 50, Worrell almost, and then trying to find the footy down low. Laird back there to help. Michael Annie under the pump. Bolton was closing, handball to the line, but certainly a teammate in the vicinity, and we'll get a boundary throw.
So we heard Justin Longmuir talk all week and even pre-game about team defence, forward pressure, tackles inside the forward 50. They only had 4 last week, Scully. I don't know what the total is right now, but at least the intent there to keep it in their front half is certainly there.
Yes, and then the challenge is to keep it going.
Yeah, different start this week to last by the Dockers, right? Locked in there forward 50. Crows trying to get it out again. Michael Annie there with Saligo, and handballing to feet now to play.
But this has been the strength of the Crows. So last year, defensively, They ranked number 11 across the season for points again, so they're much better this year. They're up inside the top 8. The Crows, Matthew Nix and Co have gone to work with their defence.
Darcy the hit out. Saligo read it best offhand. But a shove from Bolton, which actually helped him to move up the field. He finds Walker. Wasn't the 15, so called to play on. And the tackle, the throw was called. Johnson emerges with it. Dockers go back inside 50. McDonald's down there wrestling. He had a hold of Worrell. It looked like ball still alive. And the Crows have got the extra number back there. Murray to Laird. And again, they absorb some pressure and they'll take the relief of a mark to O'Brien.
Tell you what, that was brilliant by Worrell. One-on-one. I know McDonald's not Tracy, but he's a big forward in a better position, and he just held his spot so well then. It was beautiful.
He's had a couple of really important contests early, hasn't he?
And now Keane out of defence. Good ball to Crouch. They can try to slice them up now. The Crows. Saligo, though, overcooked the handball. Young threw it away.
And Jordan Dawson was bolting forward. They were trying to get it back inside, but Sean Darcy's on him, so you expect that to be a mismatch. They'll try to exploit the Crows. Darcy's still with him, having to defend Jordan Dawson.
Laird will go high and wide. Wanting Walker, but Dawson there. But just as you called, Pav, just being able to work harder to space to take the mark, and now can chip it forward to Neil Bullen. Feed it inboard. Crouch work from way to the centre square to the other. Now to Saligo, a neat step, got past Draper. What's the finish like? It is very good. Saligo strikes from range. What a terrific step by Saligo to finish that one off, but handy work by the Crows to get there first.
Yeah, I've just loved the way he's played his footy this year, but probably over the last 18 months, the way he's been going. And you see this step he puts on, this is the explosiveness that he possesses, and it's what is allowing his other midfielders to play so well.
So there's Dawson. Darcy just couldn't go with him. They needed to hand that over better. The Fremantle midfielder. Darcy just needed to demand that a midfielder get on him, because what it did is allow this type of ball. But yeah, it's a great step and it's an unbelievable finish from Saligo, but that handover needed to be better. It's well exploited by the Crows.
Something that goes unnoticed a little bit is Matt Crouch's ability just to find that distance forward. It wasn't a sideways, it was a deliberate handball, and he found his, player that's more offensive than him. Look at that one right there.
It's a 3-on-1, isn't it? It's well done.
And back in the middle, Crouch working hard, trying to extract it again. He did just enough to get it to Peatling. The high up and under. Warner commits. Big clash. Chapman got a fist on it. Reed's in there for the Dockers. And he'll be taken in the tackle.
Yeah, the Dockers will like the fact Heath Chapman is back into the side. Was very good against Richmond and particularly against the Bulldogs before he was ill last week, and a costly late out with Cozzy Pickett doing all the damage last week. And the Crows have got some very dangerous small forwards.
Well, he would have taken Cozzy Pickett last week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sarong in and under. Bolton. Now to Wagner. Now Justin Longmuir told us pre-game we'll spend a bit more time up around the ball. He's got it to Tracy. He wanted it back in return. Tracy slows things down to start with. And now we'll heave it long inside 50. And Worrell again across with a great defensive mark.
He started well, Scully. Yeah, all big one-on-ones and then rolling off well there.
Yeah. That's the individual action, but what this Adelaide defence does well is hold out for each other. They're not underrated anymore. This is a really good defence.
And now Hinch. The game is steadied after a pretty frenetic first 5 minutes. Now Curvis down low, couldn't hang on.
Yeah, Hayden Young, 4 disposals, Worrell 4, along with Brayshaw and Laird, getting a bit of the ball early. You can see Young has gone forward, so that's the mix that he's playing. It's not quite up to full fitness for midfield minutes as yet. Free kick to Darcy.
Yeah, in the ruck contest, being held by O'Brien. Arm arounds.
This will be his 4th disposal, so already up to the amount he had in the whole game last week.
And he'll send it into the pocket. Amos again the target. Michael Annie dropping the mark though. Miller. Michael Annie coughed it up, sharp, spun into a tackle that was ducked towards the turf by Nankervis.
So I think the Crows have heard exactly what Justin Lommy and Freo talked about all week. Is this a sling tackle?
It looks very close.
No, probably not. Just got away with it.
Locked down, Peatley's kick smothered by Johnson. That forward pressure again from Fremantle. Opens the door for Shea Bolton, and he doesn't need much room at all. Coming off 3 goals last week, Shea Bolton's having an immediate impact in this Fremantle forward line. But Matthew Pavlich, you've talked about it, that forward pressure that was non-existent last week. Certainly, they've started in a much different fashion tonight.
Yeah, a bit less expansive with the ball. So this one actually comes from a stoppage effectively. It's great pressure from the Fremantle forwards, and that is just elite talent. That is a very, very difficult kick. When you're running that way, to curl it back the way he did, it's a bit of sloppy defence to leave Bolton out the back there, but that is an elite finish from Shea Bolton. But when you're predictable, when you kick the ball skinny side, you can defend behind it, you can do a stoppage like they have, and that's an elite finish going.
Well, they're getting repeat stoppages and repeat entries inside this forward 50, which they didn't get last week, and they've played poorly, they haven't got. That's what the pressure does. It gives you more opportunity, and Shea Bolton, he only needs one.
And now McDonald in the right, opposed to Phil-Thorp. He's able to win the hit out down, and then taken high with Saligo.
And just a bit sloppy from Johnson, just ran over the top of him. Definite free kick.
Chance to go to the 50. Walker and Pearce wrap up. Chapman was there. Walker recovered well. Neil Bullen was carried forward. Crouch, look out. Johnson barreled him. The tackle didn't stick. The ball came loose. Wagner now. The crowd wanted a free. Draper in trouble. And a high fend-off will go to Crows one.
Yeah, well, this is inviting the pressure a little bit.
He just got a burn on that, didn't he?
Started a kick on it, but then went into handball game, Freo, and repeat entry coming for Adelaide.
They needed to kick that one out to space, didn't they? They didn't absorb or understand the type of pressure.
Neil Bullen saw the lead, and the mark claimed by Nankervis.
Yeah, well, it was a mark, and it was a good lead by Nankervis into space. You'll see this. Yeah, the pressure was invited, and there's a free kick there. It was a high fend. Watch this from Nankervis, straight in between 4. It was poor manning. Midfielders just standing there, not really doing anything from Fremantle's side of things.
And his first goal late last season. Luke Nankervis. Good lead inside 50, held on to it, and Adelaide cannot quite answer back. He leaves that one out there. He's frustrated, missing the set shot.
There's a lot of traffic cops out there, wasn't there, for Freo? Jordan Clark was pointing, Warner was pointing. Sometimes you're just going to go and take the most dangerous. It was a really smart lead from Nankervis.
Kick down the corridor, Crouch's best position. Clark knocked it away, Sarong tackled Wagner, and now the Crows can put the clamps on.
Thank you.
Real arm wrestle right now.
Back this way.
Phil-Thorp will have the strength in the ruck opposed to McDonald, but Brayshaw can win the stoppage battle. Get it away to Johnson, who shows a good turn of foot with a run and a bounce. A handball to Switkowski just behind him, like dropping the baton in the relay. They have to go back to find it as Wagner got it back to Switkowski. Across to Sarong. The kick was knocked down by Rankine. Dudley wanted it. Sarong misses again, and Rankine emerges with it. Crows a chance to counter-attack. Neil Bullen, Crouch, shrugs off Dudley. Brayshaw in there and holding the ball to call.
Gents, hot footy at the moment. The Dockers had 2 or 3 opportunities to actually go forward instead of the extra handball, but it's good pressure to win the ball back.
Brayshaw's going to send it long, looking for a tall target. Crows had it covered. Laurels had to do a heap of work in this first quarter. Laird, the dump kick. Neil Bullen did well to keep it going. Pearce follows up. Now Clark off a step. Round his body, trying to place it perfectly for Frederick.
So that's the type of play that Johnson had an opportunity to execute. Sarong went sideways instead of getting it forward. Clark says, righto, it's a turnover. The defence is going to be unsettled. Let's get it in there and find someone.
Especially early.
Yeah.
Early in the game.
Great ball use from Jordan Clark.
9 goals for the season. Just the 2 behinds last week, though. That's a clever finish from the angle for Freddie.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's a really good call, Pav. That sideways movement, you know, once the fumble and mistakes happened in the middle of the ground, they went sideways and then invited the pressure. Rankine almost went the other way, but you see this from Clark. He gets in a good handball receiving position, and instead of giving another handball, gets it in. Worst case scenario, there it goes out of bounds, you get a stoppage. Best case scenario, you hit a forward and he finishes for you.
Yeah, particularly as the defence is disrupted. You've actually already disrupted the defence. Get the ball back in there and to where your numbers are. So that's better from Jordan Clark. can see again, here he is. He's entitled to probably another hand pass there, maybe go to his numbers, but he says, no, let's get it in there.
Adelaide will be wanting a lift from a couple of their stars. Rankine just the one touch, and Rochelle, none at all.
Curl off the boot, perfect for Michael Frederick, who didn't kick one last week, but kicked 3 in each of his 2 games before that. Been in good form as Dawson is tackled strongly.
Yeah, so stoppages at the moment. Clearance game in favour of the Dockers, 8-4, and they've scored as well. So bit of work to do from the midfielders of the Crows.
Ball knocked out in the tackle of Phil-Thorp, and now it's back with Laird, and he'll go very wide. Taylor chip the ball up the wing. Michael Annie can now control it for the Crows.
That's good running, isn't it? If you've got Shea Bolton, make him defend as well. Smart play by Michael Annie.
Down the line. Curtin in front. Brendan Cox there. Walker as well. And Tex sees it out.
Saw Brendan Cox in that contest. So he's the number 6 in the competition for contested marks, Brendan Cox. But he's got a task tonight, whether it's on Phil-Thorp, Walker or Curtin. They're gonna stretch him. They're gonna challenge him in the air.
Yeah, they've got a really tall forward line, Adelaide, but Freo probably have something to match them.
No Fogarty out with that shoulder injury tonight. It's Johnson, now Wagner.
So I mentioned Rankine and Rochelle. Dawson's another with just a touch to his name. So their senior mids, Adelaide need to lift.
Ball at feet, plenty of players. Now Curvis, Crouch. They just work the numbers to get it clear now to Dawson off the right boot. He pokes it inside 50. Draper in front, dropped the mark. Curtin tried to emerge with it, and he was tackled and holding the ball.
Yeah, that tackling pressure has been a real standout for Fremantle. Their challenge will be to maintain it through this game, but clearly, Justin Longmuir spoke about it. Their senior players are driving it. They're getting the results at the moment.
Brendan Cox down the line. In front, Phil-Thorp. There's some holding going on. And it will go the Dockers' way.
He's a threat in the air, isn't he, Josh Tracy? If he's not marking it, he's drawing a free kick. That's 2 that he's already received. Murray, not so happy with it.
And Young will just come off the bench and able to take the footy. Gets it away now to Reid. Trying to find an option here. Nothing on by foot, so went by hand instead to Brayshaw. Dragged down. McDonald's got Amos in the square. And they found a way through Freo. And they walk it to the line to convert their 4th.
That was a really interesting goal, this one, because Josh Tracy, who was their main man, took it on up high on the wing here, and when he looked up, there was no long kick, so it was the Hayden Young kick, there was the handball, and it was the hard run by Andrew Brayshaw, right, that gets this done. They don't do the long kick they've been doing all year. It was the short Hayden Young one off the back of this free kick, which pretty tiggy touchwood, to be honest, but these runners, watch Andrew Brayshaw through here. This is on Dawson, who's a great runner himself. Good chase and just gets it off. Bit of good vision as well. Amos, who probably hasn't had the year he wanted this year to start with. It's always nice to get a goal on the goal square, Tav.
Isn't that great? Pressure from Dawson, but the ability to get your hands free and just get it to your teammate. Dawson's effort to tackle was supreme, but then Brayshaw, the run and the ability to get arms free and get it to your teammate. Elite footy.
10th goal of the season for Jai Amos. And ball knocked down by Darcy, flicked forward out of the stoppage. Bolton always so explosive, able to retrieve. And now Draper can poke it to a central position, dangerous spot. Crows come up and up, Hinch dropped the mark. Young scooped it up, Brayshaw in there, Dawson 2 in a wrestle. Sean Burgoyne on the boundary.
You can really tell it's an intense game at the moment. Both teams' pressure factors are over 200, so really scrappy and it's really fierce at ground level.
Here you go, Fremantle, Dudley trying to take it. They copped a bump from Murray. And they're looking dangerous at the stoppages.
Yeah, they certainly are, Pat. So we talked about it. They're +3 at this point in time, and they've kicked a goal, but that looked pretty slick work.
Ball knocked down. Darcy in there, and then Curvis will try and clear it out. Under the pump right now, the Crows. Draper there. Rochelle did enough to knock it away. Bolton off the left, into the pocket, too wide, and out of bounds on the full.
He just looks dangerous when Shea Bolton gets the ball. I know that's on the full, but just starts weaving in and around packs. He only needs a couple of steps, and he just adds something to this team they don't have.
He's one of those players that when he goes in to the centre square bounce, he wins a lot of footy, and he looks so dangerous up around the ball.
Off hands, Rankine. They can be so dangerous back the other way. Knocked away by Wagner, cleverly controlled for Young. Off that favoured left boot goes to Darcy. O'Brien, a big spike away. Rankine was in there. Dawson now. They work it along the boundary and a tumbling kick goes out of bounds on the full.
A bit of that pressure again. Was a come forward to defend situation for the Dockers. Had to kick over hands, and when you're under that much pressure, no matter how good you are, Jordan Dawson, one of the best ball users in the game, put them under the pump, you can turn it over.
Back down the line they go towards Darcy, and O'Brien again gives it the same treatment. Smashes it down. ANZAC coming with the kick to a one-on-one. Curtin and Clark, they wrestle, and a free kick will go to Curtin. Clark was about off to the races, but Curtin was held.
That was a mismatch.
And now he's going to thump it long into a dangerous spot. He wants Walker right in front, brought it to ground. It's at the feet of Pearce and Tex, and right in there, like a rugby scrum trying to get it out. Rankine, oh, what a finish from Isaac. Rankine in the traffic. He is electric.
We have been blessed already tonight to see a brilliant goal from Shea Bolton, but that one is even better from Isaac Rankine. The ability to get this from high above his head almost on the foot and just perfectly executed check side is remarkable. Let's have a look.
And he stole it as well. Watch the steal from Alex Pearce. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's just elite ability. That's so good.
We're talking about one-step goals. That's a no-step goal. Thanks very much. He's in his kicking motion as he's receiving that ball. And he's just such class and talent and execution. And he practices that as well.
Brilliant stuff.
That's not a fluke.
Do not take your eyes away. Bolton at one end, Rankine at the other. And it's out of the middle. Saligo was ducked as he kicked it a high ball forward. Draper almost spilt out, but he claimed it in the end.
A little bit fumbly. He marks that one, but he's dropped two or three.
Glove on. I wonder if it's a finger or hand injury. Must be something to be wearing that glove.
To the wing. O'Brien, good use of the body.
Good matchup this one. Darcy had a fair bit of the ball to start the game, but O'Brien just worked so hard.
Brendan Cox the spoil. Frederick at the spill. Fleet of foot, but Cumming wasn't going to let him get past as now Chapman. He goes along the boundary. Dumped in a big hit from Cumming. Good physical contest this as the footy flicks free. Frederick gets it out now to Bolton. Fremantle want to go. Darcy was on short. The step from Bolton will allow him to launch it a little bit longer. Up towards Tracy.
Just give the ball to Shea Bolton and something happens. On the selfie. Rankine at one end, he called it. Here's the big hit. That is a big contest. Yeah. Sat him on his back.
Yeah, though, that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Physical game.
Give the ball to Bolton because he does this unbelievable step, and then the body work from Josh Tracy, elite.
An incredible run of goals. He's already got one tonight. He lines up his second. It's tight, but it's near side. The crowd were trying to will it home. But near side. Enjoyable first quarter of footy. Both these teams going right at it. As in the pack, Draper is there. I mentioned it pre-game, but two sides that seem like they're on a similar trajectory. They've been down and out of finals for quite some time. They're trying to make their way up the table, trying to stake a claim towards September. Sarong's kick smothered. Draper. Away now, Chapman. Was poking off the left boot. Darcy getting back. Hinge committed himself. Tracy taking it. And with evasion. Trying to get it to Bolton. Might be trying to pick some of his moves. Going after it. And now free kick for a hole will come back to Shea Bolton, who seems involved in everything.
Yeah, he's causing issues in his seventh disposal.
He'll swing it back to Clark in a central position. Crowd 150 for the footy being knocked free, as did Justin Longmill.
Yeah, so not going to the density of numbers, just trying to change the angle here, Fremantle.
Because Adelaide have a loose at the top of the goal square here, so they're going to try and connect. They want to go inside 50 from here, I would have thought.
And Luke Ryan is going to load up, send it to the hot spot. Bit of bash and crash in there. Tracy brought it down. Switkowski away to Dudley, who loves to finish with a goal, but he hooked that one too far.
You can just see the intent from the Dockers there. Not not just going recklessly inside 50. There's the man who is the #1 mark inside 50 player in the competition. Josh Tracy has started this game so well as well, but instead of trying to be elite and absolutely perfect with their ball movement inside 50 tonight, they're just playing a bit more. That's a great kick as well from Kane, but a bit safer.
Yeah, but on Adelaide's side of things, it could be an injury here, just a shoe, maybe a divot. Adelaide have done pretty well to absorb the pressure. They haven't been blown away here, but Fremantle has certainly had the momentum of the game. So they're doing a lot of hang in, controlling the footy now. If they can score a goal late here, it's been a good quarter for Adelaide.
Saligo might have just tweaked an ankle there. The Crows have got it. 2 minutes to go till quarter time.
So 1-1 really now. Fremantle, you can see there, they're all referencing an opponent, maybe popping in a bit of space on slow play, but trying really hard to stop any march-up type of football that Adelaide are trying to implement.
Hinge will have to go long to a contest down the line. Curtin there, O'Brien, Worrell as well. Curtin got to it. Fit a handball away. Boundary line looming. Taylor kept it in. Crouch to Laird. Bumped as he kicked. Keys was there. Warner spoiled it, but back into play. And now Saligo looks fine as he drills one in low to Rochelle. The Crows trying to slice their way through. Dawson got through the tackle easily of Young and then bangs it inside 50. Phil-Thorp there. Brought to ground. Rankine's so dangerous in that situation. Just the Sheeran evading him. And Fremantle might escape.
Geez, looked dangerous, didn't he, Rankine? He was one-on-one with Chapman as this one heads out of play, but then Phil-Thorp actually dragged his opponent back. You can see Matthew Nicks on screen just saying, what?
Well, as Adelaide came through the middle of the ground with hands, I looked up and Isaac Rankine was one-on-one with Heath Chapman inside 50, a real cut-off forward from the rest of his team. I think he's dangerous against Chapman.
O'Brien down, controlled it well to Dawson, who goes the wrong direction. And Dudley, it was up on the half volley, so it'll be a ball up.
Clarence game starting to get a bit more even. What a spectacular shot that is at Optus Stadium. Absolutely chock-a-block tonight, full of mainly Freo fans, but a number of Adelaide fans have made the trip or here in Perth.
Treated to a great contest so far. Young gets it out to Clark and they want to run and break the lines as Young stings the footy in again for Tracy off hands. McDonald, Tracy attracted the crowd. McDonald finishes the goal.
Well, it's a McDonald goal, but take the hat off Josh Tracy for that contest. He willed himself to the contest. Again, he's able to get out of the back on his opponent, and just the way he crashed this pack and made it a soft spill so that his crummers, on this occasion a key forward, McDonald was the crummer. Doesn't matter how tall you are, so he engages Keane as well. It's a great contest and nice finish from McDonald.
Yeah, well, Keane is the big one here because Josh Tracy's got his man done. Keane has to make the decision, do I go, can I impact? In the end, you live and die by the sword in the back line. He doesn't impact the contest, his man stays down. But Josh Tracy, because of how good he is, he's drawing the second crowd.
Yeah.
Oscar McDonald, his second goal of the season in just his second game. Only the 5th of his career. And playing that fill-in role with Luke Jackson out of the side. And playing it to good effect. Fremantle out of the middle, Brayshaw. Now Sarong crutched in a tackle from Keys. It was good intent in that tackle.
Yeah, we saw that kick coming in from Hayden Young. He's the one, so he's now at full forward, but he's already had 9 disposals. 4 of them kicks. Freo just need the ball in his hand. He's an elite ball user.
Bryant's hit out, went straight to Sharp. Warner to Bolton, involved again. Inside 50. Young! Leading out from full forward. The rotation working to perfection.
Well, we identified it. It's the fact that he's able to go forward and be that almost third tall down there. He's quite tall. He's Hayden Young, 190 centimetres as the siren sounds. Again, Tracy engaging well. This is a big kick on the quarter-time siren.
Kicked a couple of goals on his return. Hayden Young, one of those midfielders that can be an attacking weapon. They were asked for a response this week, Dockers, after a poor showing. And it's been a Freo frenzy in the first quarter to open up a handy lead at the first change. Dockers fans enjoying what they've seen through this first term.
ANZAC Day footy.
An exciting, entertaining clash so far.
All right, folks, welcome in. Of course, it's ANZAC Day football evening as the Fremantle Dockers taking on the Adelaide Crows over there in Optus Stadium. And wow, we having the Fremantle Dockers come out running in the opening quarter, 6-2-38. Wow, Adelaide Crows 2-1-13. They look on song today, do the Fremantle Dockers. Can they keep going? That's the story that's going to be unfolding as this game goes on. We just never know. ANZAC Day games, they are just brilliant games. Of course, we saw the other game this afternoon where the mighty Collingwood Football Club got over Essendon on ANZAC Day game at the MCG. But this one is played in perfect conditions over there in Perth. Looks like a beautiful mould evening. I'll tell you what, crowd's loving it. All right, let's pop on over. Let's just have a little bit of a look at the ins and outs because I didn't get to that at the beginning. Of course, for the Dockers, coming in is Quinton Narkle, Corey Wagner and Heath Chapman coming in. Going out, James Aish, Jager O'Meara and Bailey Banfield. The new player is Quinton Narkle. Of course, he is the sub today for the Dockers. For the Adelaide Crows, of course, coming in, James Peatling, Josh Rochelle. Couple of big ins there. Going out, Darcy Fogarty, Sam Berry. And of course, Sid Draper is the sub. That is your team lines up for the Dockers and the Adelaide Crows today. Let's just jump across and we'll have a look at the goal scorers as per normal. And we'll have a look at their leading disposal getter up until quarter time. The goal scorers so far for the Dockers, Hayden Young, Josh Tracy, Oscar McDonald, Michael Frederick, Shai Bolton, Jai Amiss, all single goal scorers, no multiples on the ground as yet. And of course, for the Adelaide Crows, just Jake Saligo and Isaac Rankine. The only two goal scorers for the day. Cole Lennon, how you going? You go for Hawthorn. Tell you what, Hawthorn are going pretty well this year. Don't worry about a couple of the mishaps they've had. They're going pretty good. They'll get sorted. Leading disposal getter on the ground so far up until quarter time. We've got two players on 10. Of course, that's Hayden Young from the Fremantle Dockers. Best so far with 10 disposals, 5 kicks, 5 handballs, 2 marks, 8 tackles, 3 clearances and a goal. He's had a ring-a-ding-ding over the first quarter. Of course, for Adelaide Crows, Rory Laird tops their table with 10, 7 kicks, 3 handballs, a mark, 2 tackles and a clearance. Let's roll on down the board. Andy Brayshaw there for the Dockers, 8 touches so far. Shai Bolton looks pretty good out there. He looks like a real live wire today, playing for the big occasions, of course. This will be his first ANZAC Day game for Shai Bolton. He's had 8 touches, 5 and 3, a clearance, and of course a goal for him. So he's doing really well. Caleb Sarong, he's had 6 touches. Josh Tracy looks all right out there this evening for the Dockers with 6 touches, 5 kicks, 1 goal, 1. We'll just roll down there. Luke Nankervis for the Crows, he's had 4 touches. There we go. Let's just roll on down. James Peatling just with the 3 touches. Michael Frederick looks reasonably all right, even though he's only had the 3 touches. 1 kick, 1 goal. Alex Pearce there holding up well, even though just the 2. Tex Taylor Walker, he's only had the 1 disposal, a handball, that's it. He needs to get into the game, especially if the Crows want to get back into this game. All right. Cole Lennon, thanks for coming in. Don't forget, folks, vote who you think's going to win. We've got the poll up there, who you think's going to win. So far, we've got 71% voting for the Adelaide Crows. Must have a lot of Adelaide Crows supporters in here today. Make no mistake, it's a 25-point lead here to the Dockers at quarter time. Play about to resume not too far away, but anything can happen. ANZAC Day football, it's a game every team would love to play, but only a few get that... Only a few teams get that privilege. Ben Keys has been a little bit quiet. I'm sure he'll kick on as all progresses. All right, let's head back down to the ground. They'll take us into the quarter where we're under a minute away before the second term. It's the Dockers by 25.
He's had a really good first quarter. And Isaac Rankine wanting to get in the action as well. You see him lurking around, and you guys described it really well. He's in his kicking motion as he received the ball. What an unbelievable goal. So hopefully we see more of that in the second quarter.
Just incredible finish it was from Isaac Rankine. The ability to get that, as Shawnee just said, from hand to foot in his kicking motion, just elite talent. And he may not have had the biggest first quarter, but still had the 5 disposals, 4 contested, and that wonderful goal. So he if you're an Adelaide Crows fan at home, you're thinking, geez, let's get him and Jordan Dawson and Saligo into this game more and match what Fremantle's midfield of Brayshaw, Young and Bolton have already brought to this game.
Well, a good way to counter scores from stoppage, which Freo have had, is to score from stoppage yourself. So that's what Adelaide would like to do more of. They haven't touched the scoreboard from stoppage, just a couple of goals from turnovers so far. So they're the ones with the work to do. 2 goals in the last 2 minutes to Fremantle. They'd be disappointed that in that Adelaide. They'll be wanting to start well to take this in the second half.
This is the number 2 attacking team in the competition in the Crows. So you can't stop on your laurels or rest at any point, because you know you're going to be scored against. This Adelaide Crows team possesses wonderful options both in the midfield and up forward.
Well, we're set to go for the second term. And Crows with a bit of work to do. Freo came with a fire early. What response can Adelaide produce? So keep in touch as we're underway, second quarter. Fremantle and Adelaide, Optus Stadium, ANZAC Day clash. And the free kick will go the way of the Dockers out of the middle.
Yeah, Brian can't believe it. There's been a couple of free kicks gone against him early. Fascinating battle, that one.
Darcy with a long kick inside 50, but Cumming is there to take the mark.
Yeah, he's the winger, so he rolls off very well. We saw that early from the Crows, actually. Warrell was doing it, Michael Annie was doing it.
Kick just left a little short as Chapman punched the footy away, and it will roll its way over the boundary.
And they're able to absorb a fair bit of the Fremantle heat early, the Crows, in terms of that roll-off, but in the end it was weighted numbers. Had 10 more inside 50s in that first quarter, Fremantle, so Crows need to get back to their best in around the contest.
Darcy in the ruck opposed to O'Brien, just kicked forward by Rankine. Curtin up to meet it. Couldn't gather cleanly. Sarong was good to get it to Wagner. And on the boot with a high ball up towards a 50. Amos had to launch. Keane had front spot. Michael Annie in there. Dudley, terrific tackle. Pin one arm. Michael Annie had nowhere to go and caught holding the ball.
Well, I've heard his teammates talking about him, Dudley. Whenever he's around, you need to be looking in the rearview mirror, because he's a great tackler, and that's a great example of it.
Out of South Australia, he's excited to be getting his opportunity in the AFL. There was some pushing, shoving, some holding, and the free kick will go the Dockers' way. Matthew Pavlich, and the ball thrown away, so it'll be a definite 50. They're not happy with Keane. Tracy stares down, eye to eye. No one on the mark for the goal line for the Crows. Amos helps himself, and the Dockers get an early one with a bit going on to start this second term.
Yeah, there was a bit going on off the ball, so Amos was the one that really engaged Keane, and it was good forward craft, because he was the one that went to him early, and then the arms went around.
Well, that's what defenders have been doing to Jai Amos, have been attacking him and engaging. But as you see there, he's the one that engages, and Keane, one, isn't facing the footy and then tackles him, and that is 50 every day of the week. A bit of frustration there. Let me just take you in the mind of a backman. I reckon at the top of the goal square, you just think, you know what, 50 from here, he's probably kicking it anyway. But I don't think the coach or your teammates are happy with it. So Adelaide need to lift here. Dudley has. That was an elite tackle.
Yeah, there were the arms around. The umpires have been calling them all the time, and there's the 50.
Only his third game of the season with multiple goals, Jai Amos getting back to a bit of form as Johnson is tackled by Rankine. And now Saligo. Can the Crows find a way to fire in this second quarter? Laird on the boot. Phil-Thorp trying to win it. One-on-one with Brendan Cox. Phil-Thorp kept his feet as Brendan Cox went to ground, and then he's tackled by a couple. And we'll get a ball up.
Well, he's been very well held by Brendan Cox. No touches for Phil-Thorp, and just the one to Taylor Walker. So their key position players aren't getting any access either.
You know, they're getting access, but he started the year on fire, didn't he, Phil-Thorp? But a couple of quiet weeks.
Laird. He has been one of the busier ones for the Crows. Got it to Michael Annie. The kick goes inside 50. Phil-Thorp there. He was taking a big mark or getting a free kick. He called for it, and the Crows big forward getting involved.
It's the first time we've seen him have an opportunity to run a jump like that to an inside 50. Just a tug of the jumper there. That's what's been called.
Stripped took the mark as well. What a presence that he is. But yeah, 14 goals across the first 4 rounds and 9 score assists. But a couple of quiet weeks. The Crows need him to fire. They need to get him the ball, as you talked about, Scully.
Started the season with bags of 3, 3, 3 and 5. The last couple of weeks, Only single goals for Riley Phil-Thorp. He's still kicked plenty though in season 2025. His team needs one right now, but it goes across the face.
Yeah, they're the sort of goals you'd like to kick when you're up against it. It's not going well. You key forward to go back and slot one, but he hasn't done it, so the pressure remains. And Fremantle are able to do this, is possess the footy.
Johnson will go out to half-back. Nice mark taken by Brendan Cox.
He's been doing that for plenty of years. Isolate on the winger. This occasion it was coming. It's a bit of a set play.
Chip up the line for Chapman. Crows do well to bring it to ground. Keys. Neil Bullen inside now for Dawson. He can roll and go. He's got Crows out wide on the wing if he wants to head that way. Freo press. Murray under the pump. They open the door. Switkowski knocked it down. Worrell important was there to take it. In fact, a free kick for Freo coming back for over the shoulder.
Yeah, it was really good by Switkowski. Put himself in a position to win that. Very close to 50 metres there.
Switkowski was backtracking. Umpire being lenient with the footy not being given back on the full. And maybe because Switkowski was continuing to walk away. McDonald leads up.
Sean Darcy, one-on-one.
And he's leading up on O'Brien, doubling back now.
Kick goes long towards Tracy. Darcy made the contest again. A whistle again, a free kick inside 50 for Fremantle.
Well, he did really well. Is this for Tracy or Darcy? I think they're both calling for a free kick. There was a big block. That's a free kick against Kane.
Just bumping him out too early before the ball arrived.
Yeah, so he kept his eye on the footy, but if you go and make contact like that, you have to get to the footy, right? So that's the issue there, and yeah, it's difficult. But when you take your eyes off, you don't get back to the footy. It's gonna be a free kick most of the time.
And Tracy with another opportunity on his boot. 1-goal-1 tonight, looking for his second, steers it through. The Freo on fire on ANZAC Day.
So this is what Justin Lombier and his whole team have been speaking about all week. Forward pressure, keep it in your front half. Dawson marked that ball on the wing, and he tried to go a couple of times. Here he is, he's forced backwards, and then there's enough pressure from Tracy there to cause the spill. Switkowski as well, in a teasing distance away from his opponent, to draw that one down and then draw the free kick. There's the block.
So to be fair, Amos has put one on early as well.
The umpire missed the first one. That's a free kick to the Crows. Murray, they see the second one. He's a threat though in the air, isn't he though, Josh Tracy? Gee.
Absolutely.
His 20th goal of the season, Josh Tracy. Breakout year last year is looking to go even better than the 45 he kicked last season. And now the Crows free, and advantage will be taken. Crouch will send it in, and it will be marked by Rochelle in the forward pocket.
That's really good body work from Rochelle. Ryan was asking for a free kick, but there's that ruck duel that we talked about. It's well done from Rochelle to get back to the front, fight the fight, and get into a position where the ball's going to drop. But yeah, Darcy, O'Brien, there's been plenty of free kicks in a wonderful battle to watch in the ruck tonight.
Battling that rib injury. He happened in round 3 against the Kangaroos. Back in the side tonight. They have been stunned to start this one, have Adelaide. Rochelle needs to kick it, and he does. Big goal for the Crows, and he's trying to lift his team back into the contest.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what he's trying to do, and he's an energy player, so it's just his second disposal of the day, and he's just back in the side. But he's a guy that can bring the energy. So, you know, they've struggled from stoppage. Like they've been scored against heavily, but there's still opportunity to get back. If we watch this early, Rochelle v Ryan. Ryan's a really good one-on-one player, and he did his work early. He held the space. He read where the ball was going to land, probably 5 seconds before it got there, and then he goes and gets it done. But it's the work he did early against Luke Ryan, who's a really, really good one-on-one player.
That's a goal from the stoppage, the first one for the Crows. Those free kicks we talked about. Good kick in from Crouch, and you talked about Scully.
Nick Murray looking like he's getting some treatment on the boundary line for the Crows, but an important goal it was for Adelaide. Rochelle back in the side and making an impact. So Brian and Darcy lock up again. Young's in there. Sean, Riley. Back there, guys.
Secondary stoppage here. You can see what each side are doing. Both playing 4 forwards and then 2 up around the stoppage.
Bolton got it out of there and then kicked it into the backside of Reed. It ricocheted away. Crouch, Dawson. Oh, and then a tangle it was at the 50 between Rochelle and Ryan. Ryan kept his feet. The ball just ran away from the ball.
Yeah, well picked up, Scully. So both teams sending multiple players up around the ball, the half forwards, which means both defences are a bit exposed. But I think the Crows are saying, okay, we're getting done around the stoppage. We need some extra numbers in around the ball to stop Fremantle's dominance.
Brian got it down. Free kick going to the Crows. O'Brien was held. So chance here. It's going to go back behind the mark to try and find one of their tall targets. Phil-Thorp leads. It's a good kick to his advantage. Hands to it. Now Walker ground level is swallowed in a couple of tackles. And he tried to fend. And as soon as he did that, and was caught and holding the ball.
Yeah, the fend came up and was look out.
Danger there. Now Curvis across. Brennan Cox has got some issues. Ryan will see it to the boundary. Good forward pressure by Adelaide.
Yeah, so a couple of good minutes for the Crows here out of the centre square. Ball in their front half. Matthew Nick's pleased with what he's seen the last minute or two. Phil-Thorp looks at the threat though, doesn't he? You can't let him get a run and jump at it like that last one.
Walker in the ruck. It's not straight though, down the throat of Rankine to Dawson, who attempted to get the kick out. And still alive inside 50 for the Crows until it's locked up and we'll get another stoppage.
Yeah, we know that interpretation. As long as you're trying, I don't think it's holding the ball.
Walker out of the ruck, flipped it out of there. Pearce, an important touch to knock it clear. Key's always dangerous. And another ball up.
So the Crows have actually got 3, making 2 spares behind the ball. Fremantle now, you can see there, Keen's the one. The anchor right at the back. They've also got another one about 20 metres from the stoppage.
Wagner, the ball at his feet, just couldn't find it. Brayshaw, a tumbling ball. Amos up to meet it. Knocked it back towards the 50 for the Crows. Kept it in front of him though. Brayshaw's kick was partially smothered. Reed in there. Taylor over the top.
So when there's 2 loose behind the ball, the effort by Jai Amos is so important.
Enormous.
It's
Enormous.
4v6.
Yeah, he doesn't get a stat for it, but the ability to beeline the ball, lock it in.
Johnson just hacked it forward, but straight to Hinge, who can poke it up high inside 50 for Shelley. That was brilliantly weighted, that kick off a step, just allowed Rochelle to get to the footy.
Well, this is what he can do. He's such a smart player, Rochelle, and Fremantle know that. That's why they have Luke Ryan on him. But
this is the play. So Hinge was one of the 3 players sitting off the play. And Johnson should know the fact you've got an extra number around there. Go get your head over it, give it to your extra numbers rather than just hacking it forward, because Hinge was ready to pounce a late kick in.
Gave the defender absolutely no chance. A little bit further out than his last shot. Rochelle lets it go. It's tight that it hits the post. That really would have given the Crows some momentum. Now Fremantle's turn to feel the heat. As they're under the pump. The ball trapped in their defensive half. High ball. Ryan from the side rising.
Yeah, it's an interesting battle, isn't it? Rochelle's got him twice.
And at 50, they sort of swap players on the mark and then he crunched over the top.
So there's that battle. Ryan says, all right, come and defend me the other way. You've got me twice.
He wastes no time to release as well to Chapman, who sends it in long, top of the square. Tracy Hinge with an important spoil, sees it over.
He's attracting a crowd. Tracy, we've said it a couple of times, but there were 3 or 4 of them rolling off and helping. It's good defence, team defence.
So brought back in, off hands, and a ball out of play with Brendan Cox.
Oscar McDonald was running with Ryan O'Brien there, with Darcy off. McDonald's the one doing the second ruck, and it's just to give Darcy a rest. We know he hasn't had a big pre-season, Darcy. Now it's Phil-Thorp against him.
They lock up. Phil-Thorp controlled it down. Brayshaw stood up in the tackle. Couldn't find Sarongmo. Chance here for the Crows. They'll go along the line. Keys' kick up to half forward. Pearce taking them on. Corralled by Curtin. The 1-2 with Warner. Freo skipper feeds it back in. Sarong took the contact, fed the footy out, and the Crows will win it back. Saligo was good. He wants some support. Over the top, he did well to get it to Walker. The kick goes in, and Clark gets back to help. Otherwise, Rochelle was marking 25 out in front. Great defensive effort from the Docker. And now they can slow it down with a dangerous kick. It's knocked out of the hands of Ryan, who's under the pump. He flicked it away. Rankine was there. Such a dangerous spot to kick when Rankine's in the vicinity.
That's great forward pressure from ANZAC Rankine. Wonderful effort. Clark was uncertain where to go. Thought he was going to go out the open side, but decided to come back to where his numbers were.
Watch Rankine here. I reckon he's going to nose for goal this stoppage.
They keep the footy locked in there, attacking 50 the Crows. Walk it down. Rankine went without it. Saligo's in there. Brayshaw almost into his back, perhaps. It's away now with Young. High ball around the body. Taylor made for Murray. Tracy knocked it down. Frederick is off to the races. He's got clean air in front of him with a run and a bounce. No one ahead. Inside 50. The chip and chase, but it's off target. It's across into the pocket and out of play.
It's a kick to touch.
So he can go and take the stoppage instead. They thought he was going to skip clear, such as his speed normally. Well, the Crows did well.
We're not going to see a time when that gets called insufficient at 10, are we?
Please no.
Don't bring it up, please, Scully. We don't want to see that happen. As we get a stoppage inside 50. All knocked down. Lair, Crouch. Now Peatling loses it over the line.
Yeah, it was brilliant contest again by Tracy here. So Adelaide are getting the loose from defensive stoppages, but now it's the other end of the ground because of the ability to bring it to ground.
Freo got the jump in this one. Crows have wrestled things back in terms of the contest, but still trail on the scoreboard. Young will be wrapped up here.
So sorry to harp on it, but Oscar McDonald here, giving the ability to Sean Darcy to rest. All they need him to do is compete here with Phil-Thorp. They don't want Tracy as the second ruck. That's why he's in the side.
Phil-Thorp brought it down, but Brayshaw took it out of his hands. Trying to release Reid. Good tackle. Crows win it back. Peatling's handball knocked down. Switkowski busy. The Crows will escape. Nankervis showed too much of it to Sharp. Charged it down. Nankervis trying to recover. Fremantle with the extra number at the stoppage as the footy spills clear. And now Laird up and under. Trying to get it out of defence. Warner gets mixed up with Pearce. They crash over the top of each other. The ball's still in play. Really scrappy passage as Pearce still continues to go. And it stays in. Brayshaw emerges with it. Handball to McDonald. Fremantle a chance across the top of the arc. Now it's Johnson. The leads come. Amos led hard. He'll double back towards goal. Now it's Tracy's turn to bob up. Oh, a couple of options. It's Frederick who chipped in just in front of the big full forward and gets another opportunity as Matthew Nicks got better. Watch.
It's great play from Alex Pearce and Warner on the other side to keep the ball alive and keep fighting and scrapping. And then late repeat efforts from your forwards. Tracy let up, Amos let up. Frederick went 3 or 4 times, then finally came back at the ball. Makes it really hard to defend when you're leading repeat efforts like that.
He's averaged a goal a game the past 3 seasons. Michael Frederick, and he's been in good form this year. That one just fading away though. Hooking across the face.
Stoppage going though for this second term. Scully, much better from the Crows, so +4 in this term. So I've heard the message at quarter time from Matthew Nicks.
Dawson was blocked out of that marking contest and get the free.
Well, it's Bolton. He tried his best to disguise it, but probably not well enough. He had his eyes off the footy and was looking directly at Dawson.
Crows have it. Go in short to Taylor. Run continues from Dawson. Will take the territory. Go long to the 50. Walker there. Phil-Thorp plucks a big mark.
Well, that's an imposing grab, isn't it? We know he has been pretty quiet tonight, but this is how the big guys can change games. If you're going to play such a tall forward line, even no Fogarty, especially no Fogarty, I should say.
Oh, it's the matchup you've been talking about. So here's the ruckman, actually, at this stage of the game with O'Brien and Darcy off. Phil-Thorp says, righto, Oscar McDonald, come and play centre-half back on me and see if you can defend. And he's an imposing figure.
Kicked 15 goals in his last 7 games. Finished last year well. He's now 31 in his last 13. There's a force. There's Riley Phil-Thorp.
little bit to the crowd as well, which I like to see in the right manner. These are Adelaide players trying to lift themselves into it. We saw Rochelle celebrate hard. Yes, Freo had a bit of time down their end, but really Adelaide have bounced back here. We saw a vision of Matty Nix before as we watched his mark again.
Yeah, the positioning from McDonald, he actually, instead of forcing him boundary, he allowed the corridor and that.
Well, he's not a defender.
Jump.
He's not a defender.
Oh, he was for a long time.
He's playing a forward as a ruck. I reckon you figure out to be a defender if you got magnets up in the forward line, Pav.
Not so sure about that.
So, well, you certainly just figured out to play as a defender at one stage. We saw Matty Nix frustrated before. So, well, they're actually playing pretty well this quarter, but they're losing contests still. If they can fix that part of the game, Adelaide, they're going to be right back in this game.
Margin 25. As we're in the middle, and Fremantle will get the clearance. Johnson with strength shrugged off O'Brien, just got rid of it in time. And now Bolton got the 1-2 with Darcy. He can try to create. Missed McDonald, who gave a big shot to Keane. Clear free kick. We'll go back the way of the Crow.
Yeah, Matt Johnson a couple of times. He's trying to take on the tackle or look for one extra hand pass. I'd love to see him just kick it inside forward 50 when he gets the chance. He's got shoulders out.
And find its way to Miller. 25-point margin. Miller up the line. Walker and Pearce battle off hands. Clark arriving on the scene. Handball went behind Johnson, who went to recover. Knocked it cleverly to Sarong. And now releases Bolton, who's away with a couple of bounces. Can run to 50. He can think about going all the way home. Shane Bolton almost a point. It was in the end, but he's got the crowd. He's got everyone on the edge of their seat.
Can you push that with your vocals out of the goals there, perhaps?
Oh, he's threatening to line it up again, Shea Bolton, as the ball's close to the line and Dudley's tackled over.
You just saw him have a look over his shoulder, and Matty Crouch, who's having a great year this year as a distributor, I reckon he just sort of saw and thought, I reckon I can get this done. Just didn't quite get the float through the air he would have liked.
Darcy down, O'Brien went to ground, Sarong hacks a kick forward, Miller up. Can retrieve it for Adelaide, and now they can switch it out to the open side. Good kick too for Curtin.
That's great presents. Really good lead, Pats.
And they can continue to go along that side. Neil Bullen, it was not right to his advantage. Clark gets back there but lost his feet. Neil Bullen taking in a good tackle by Warner.
Didn't see that from Fremantle last week. Tackle's actually sticking. They had 36 for the game. Last week that would have been broken. Better from Carl Warner.
Darcy down, Bolton, sharp. Sarong trying to fan, in trouble. Holding the ball, the call. Again, great work from Rankine.
Ryan and Rochelle one-on-one again.
Rochelle wants the kick deep. Over the back, he's looking to rise. Walker up. Couldn't hang on. Still at the spill. Tex trying to feed it out. Rochelle won't clamber onto him.
So after having 10 disposals in the opening quarter, Hayden Young's only had one this term. Gone quiet. Brayshaw, not a big quarter either.
Merging with it, Curtin. Thought he was about to bust through. And now he's caught holding the ball. Unfortunately, he was trying to make the play. Just couldn't get it out.
I saw Dan Curtin pre-game. He is an absolute monster. 197 centimetres.
He's an athlete as well. He's going to be a serious player if he sticks at it long enough and learns the craft. He's a big boy.
Pick 8 in 2023 out of WA. He was a Freo fan growing up. I feel a little surreal being out there. His first trip back to Perth, playing against the Dockers. First game back here. As the kick goes long, ball off the hands of Dawson. O'Brien battles with Darcy again. Sarong, quick hands. Found sharp. Bolton's been busy. Retreating, losing ground. Dangerous ball, short of Clark. Chance here for the Crows. Bolton mops up. Draper, Clark. And now Warner. They handle their way out of trouble. Wagner saw Clark into trouble. Taylor's got him. Just got it back to Wagner, who's wrapped up or flirting with danger.
This is the type of play that gets them in strife when they're trying to flick it around so much, and Adelaide are on, they can turn this ball over and go the other way. It's a late forward pressure from the Crows.
And the ruck got out at Dawson quickly on the boot. not 15 for Pearce. Delayed the handball through. Sarong, Brayshaw combined. Now pulls the trigger. Big marking contest. Worrell did well. Sports it. Could have claimed it. As Miller up to Hinge. And then out wide. They can continue to go. Neil Bullen copped a bump as he got the kick away. Was it high though? Coming through from Brayshaw. The Crows continue to go. And Curtin will mark inside 50.
Yeah, well, this is what Dan Curtin can do. It can stretch the defence a little bit, and especially with the ball moving from one side to the other, that gets the defence out of shape pretty quickly. It's a big kick for Curtin here. 3.5 minutes left in this quarter.
Yeah, they've wrestled momentum back, haven't they, the Crows? It's been a really good 10 minutes here from Adelaide.
First game back in Perth. His uncle, a veteran, out there on the ground pre-game. ANZAC Day meaning a lot to his family. And couldn't convert back in his home state. 3:23 on the clock till half-time.
So Hayden Young, we talked about it. Only the one disposed of. Peatling's the one, I think, we've identified that has tried to get to him. So he's the one that really puts a lot of pressure on tackles. Has gone to him, and he's definitely done a good job in the second term. Part of the reason why the Crows are back in it.
Even quarter, same margin as it was at quarter time. The Crows just controlling the footy a bit more as Rankine goes in, tailor-made for Phil-Thorp, and at the third bite, paying the mark all the free. And he's got the footy again. A big presence inside 50.
Yeah, well, this was a relatively attacking kick in, probably a little bit off the instep from Luke Ryan, and he ends up being the one that gets punished because he ends up one-on-one with Phil-Thorp at the top of the goal square. The hold's there, he marks it anyway. It's a powerful, powerful unit. These are big kicks for these Adelaide players.
Needs to convert from that forward pocket. It's delightful off the boot. Phil-Thorp's got two in the turn, and the Crows are right back in it.
Yeah, it's been a tremendous 10 minutes from Adelaide, and it's come off the back of stoppage work, contest work and pressure, and locking the ball in their front half. So this comes from a kick in. It's a huge spoil. And when you spoil like that inside the corridor, if you've got numbers there, you get a kick to a forward line that has an advantage. It was a really nice kick in, and Luke Ryan, despite the hold, despite the scrapping, couldn't stop this man, and he's starting to be a real threat up the Crows' end.
Well, they needed a lift. It was a slow start. He hadn't imposed himself, and with no Fogarty in the side, he needs to be the guy that does that, and he has this quarter. It's his third mark inside 50 this quarter.
Fifth season, we are really starting to see the best of Riley Phil-Thorp. Great young forward in the competition, and as this one, under plenty of pressure, the Crows' defence, it'll be locked up.
It's a great tackle from Wagner to keep it in the forward half. Saw it last week against Melbourne. That just would have zipped down the other end and been a goal. That's the type of forward pressure they want to deliver.
O'Brien smashes it out of there. Sarong to Clark on the boot. A high ball. Tracy looking to impact. And Curvis was excellent to get back, put his body on the line and spoil the footy away.
So that was Caleb Sarong's sixth clearance. So he's really starting to impact the game.
Well, it's interesting tactical move, isn't it? Matthew Nix has said, all right, Peatley, you go to Young, stop him. And what that does is potentially free up a Brayshaw, potentially free up a Sarong.
O'Brien down, Rankine, away to Nankervis, and then the ball smothered away. Fremantle keep it locked inside their forward 50.
Secondary stoppages. This is where teams get a bit of time to put something together. This will be out of a playbook. They've had time to set up for the second time now.
Ball thrown in. O'Brien smashed it straight back to the boundary line.
Difficult to do a set play when O'Brien's got a baseball bat out there. But again, a third stoppage. Plenty of time for the Fremantle forwards to communicate here with the midfielders.
Plenty of work going on between Reid and Hinge at that stoppage. It's now Darcy lays a big tackle.
Number 4 coming up, perhaps. So the more you can communicate in these situations, the more dangerous you can get.
As ball thrown up, tapped down, away now, Brayshaw. Ball thrown up. Tap down Darcy. Ball sent into the forward pocket. McDonald's after it and is in a good wrestle with King.
Adelaide doing really well to hold up here, really well organised. Blood rule. I saw there was a free kick off the ball there, perhaps, but there's a blood rule off it. So, yeah, Adelaide are doing really well defensively to set up here. They'll have their structures, Fremantle their own. I've really thought this game has been an arm wrestle. We've seen the best of Fremantle tonight. I don't think we've quite seen that. And here we go, off the ball, perhaps.
It was threatening to happen, Scully. We were keeping an eye on what was going on inside 50. Andrew Brayshaw looks like is the one who's going to get the footy.
So this is during a blood rule, so it's a dead play free kick. Just waiting to see the replay on this one.
The free kick will be taken where the boundary throw-in was going to happen, and the crowd just now aware of the fact that Andrew Brayshaw's got the footy in his hands.
Looks like he's setting up for a right foot banana.
Brayshaw, always near side.
He didn't have the routine locked down there. Could have taken a little bit more time.
1:21 to play to the half. Crows winning the quarter by 5 points as it stands. And Hinch will send the ball along. In the middle of it, Dawson just couldn't hang on. O'Brien's handball. Sarong goes in, and Curtis good tackle.
We just saw on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, it looked like there was a lot in it. Brayshaw free kick earlier on.
Darcy down to Brayshaw. Johnson backtracking. Peatling had him. And now Brayshaw steps through traffic. Got past a few of them. And now to Wagner. They're working in a tight space, but they escape out the back. Brendan Cox looks it towards Darcy, just over his head. Miller went back. Crows spill it. Still a chance, Fremantle. 40 seconds. It's in their forward half. The Crows also plenty of time if they can sweep it up the field. Laird's got the footy. His high kick. Dockers with the numbers. Brayshaw misjudged it. Chapman goes in. Phil-Thorp beeline it. Now Adelaide can go. Dawson's high ball to half forward. Clark the spoil. Spills to feet. Neil Bullen. Peatling. Dawson. Chapman was lunging. The kick goes in. Draper's there. And Ryan, the safety of the chest mark.
Gee, that was well read by Ryan because Saligo was out the back and gone. That's a goal saver there.
The seconds tick down to half-time. Terrific game of footy on ANZAC Day. The Dockers jumped out in this one. A frenetic opening quarter was a 25-point lead. It's back to 20 now, though, at the major break. We'll back with all the analysis with Kath, Jono, Eddie and Joey at half-time. But do not go anywhere. We've got a great game of footy on our hands.
You're watching ANZAC Day Footy on Fox.
All right, there we go. Half-time here, folks. And it is 20 points of difference. The Fremantle Dockers 8-6-54 leading the Crows 5-4-30. Of course, the Crows winning that term. The Dockers putting on 2 goals, 4, kicking a little bit wayward. The Crows 3 goals, 3. All right. Let's go and have a look at the quick look at the stats, folks. Just want to say g'day to Kylie for coming in. Kylie Lynn, shout out to you. Paswena Tine, the manager's in the house. Chris Jansen says he's at the match today. Must be fantastic. I tell you what, Anzac Day footy game. Big crowds. Looks like it's pretty much a sellout crowd there over at Optus Stadium. And of course, g'day to Ryan. I tell you what, you can't beat when the atmosphere, when you're actually at the game, it is incredible. The noise, the roar of the crowd, the atmosphere, each play is just incredible. Every supporter gets into the game, and it's an enjoyable experience. I tell you what, folks, if you haven't been to an AFL game, you've got to get yourself there. Get yourself groundside. Is that what they say? Groundside, that'll do. Grab yourself a seat there at the footy one day. Get down there and check it out. It is fantastic. All right, let's have a quick look at the player stats, and then we'll have a little bit of a look at the team stats before the commentators come back, give a little bit of analysis on their opening half. Of course, for the Fremantle Dockers, Josh Tracy there leads the way with 2 goals, 1 off his 6 kicks. Giants also 2 goals there for the Dockers, 2 kicks, 2 goals. You can't get much better than that. 100% accuracy from Giants. No one missing there today. He's kicking them straight through. Hayden Young, single there. Oscar McDonald, Michael Frederick, Shai Bolton, the other single goal scorers there for the Dockers. And of course, for the Crows, Riley Phil-Thorp, well, we always thought he'd kick a few goals. Well, he's got 2 up until half time. Tell you what, they're doing a good job on him though. 2 goals, 1, but he's only had the 4 disposals, 3 kicks. 3 kicks, every kick has resulted in a score, but I think they're doing a great job, the defenders on Riley Phil-Thorp, to only get 4 disposals. There we go. Who else? Well, you may ask, Jack Saligo, Isaac Rankine, Josh Rochelle. That's who the other single goal scorers are for the Crows. Leading disposal getter on the ground there up until half time. And of course, Rory Laird. Rory, my gosh, I'm getting tongue twisted. Rory Laird takes those honours for the Adelaide Crows. He's there with the top of the table with 18, 11 kicks, 7 handballs, 2 marks, 3 tackles, 3 clearances. Of course, Andy Brayshaw coming into the game nicely with 17 there for the Dockers. He's kicked to behind, 3 clearances, 7 kicks. And Caleb Sarong also going nicely. Shai Bolton, one of his better games there for the Dockers, up to 15. All right, that will do for just a moment. I think we'll come back to that. Let's just head back to the commentators for a little bit of analysis on the opening half.
Super, there's only one symbol to look for. It's Fremantle leading Adelaide by 20 points. Brad Johnson, Eddie Betts, Lee Montagna. The Dockers have played like a team, stinging from that 10-point loss to Melbourne last week. However, the Crows, Jono, they've worked their way back into this game.
They did late, but it's a Freo game, isn't it? The way that they set the game up, they set it up during the week in the way they spoke about the way they wanted to play. Then it's about execution, and I think they've executed perfectly in this first half of footy.
Well, it shows their attack on the ball, their pressure, their forward half turnovers, it's a completely different side to last week at the MCG.
It's far from over though. Only 20 points to margin. Adelaide have only had 18 inside 50s, and their forwards do still look threatening. They've just got to get more entries, get more ball down there, and this game's well and truly alive.
What about Freo's fab trio of Brayshaw, Sarong and Young? They've had plenty of the footy, and the problem for the Adelaide is if you put a bit of time into one of them, well, the other 2 are going to take advantage.
That's right. In the first quarter, Brayshaw had 8, Sarong had 6, Young had 10 and a goal, and it was a great mark inside forward 50. Then they put time into Young. So in the second quarter, he only had the 1, but Sarong comes out and has 10, and Brayshaw has 9. So 19 between 2 stars. So that's why it's difficult. And these guys are well and truly up and running. They are setting the tone for the way they need to play around the ball. We spoke about they need to win clearance. Those 3 players have had 13 between them and 7 inside 50. So they're playing a good defensive game, but also a great clearance game and pushing forward at the right time.
Let's take a look at our Harvey Norman highlights, and it features one man, that is Shai Bolton, 15 disposals and a goal. Every time he touches the footy, Ed, Crows fans would feel sick, and vice versa when Isaac Rankine gets the footy down the other end.
Yeah, they do, and he's absolute star. And Fremantle will be loving the way that he's playing, and he started off the season with them. And even here, just this snapping his ability to know where their goals are. You didn't have to look at that, and you knew where it was. But he goes up into the midfield too. He adds that spark into that midfield, and they've got a super midfield already, as Jono just touched on. But even that, getting up that stat, kicking inside 50, he's an absolute star.
He's just so good at winning contests. So when he can do it in the forward half of the ground, good things happen. I mean, once again, he's just loomed and ripped the game apart. You know, he could have kicked that and had a couple at half time, but he's already top 5 in the competition. His disposals leading the scores, 5 score involvements at half time. He's such an important player for them.
He would be one that Matthew Nicks would just watch and go, what can you do?
That's exactly. And as you spoke about the other 3 mids, yeah, they're dominating. If one comes on, put Shea into that category as well. If you go,
well, he's part of the rotation now, and that's what's making it more difficult for Adelaide and Matty Nicks. Their 3 midfielders in Crouch, Saligo and Dawson are getting okay ball. Their numbers look okay, but the effect on the game isn't as good as what the Freo mids are doing at the moment.
We heard Sean Burgoyne, who's on the boundary for Fox, talk about the pressure and what a red-hot game it was to start, but Freo's intent was clear from the get-go, Joey.
Yeah, well, we knew this was their plan. Justin Longmuir has spoken about it all week. They he put it on the forwards and said they had to try and kick the ball in that forward half more. It was too easily exited from one end of the ground to the other against Melbourne. So we clearly saw this in the first term in particular, where they were able to put real good pressure on the Adelaide defenders, win the ball back in the forward half of the ground and get their looks that way. So they've scored 39 of their 54 points from the forward half of the ground, starting their launches, whether that be by stoppage or by doing these sorts of things and turning the ball over. So that would please the coach the most, because this is what they couldn't do against Melbourne, Jono, and that's why the D's were able to kick over 100 points. But this is their game. This is how they want to play.
And what I've liked is the repeat entry. We talk about repeat entries, but it's not just a dump back in there. It's actually controlled. Look at Clark here and the way that he actually sums it up. He's calm, finds Frederick out the back and was able to hit him up. So they get the first one. Adelaide get it out, but the next one coming back is quite painful for us.
Perceived pressure.
Yeah.
They're not even getting there, but they're just scared that they're going to get tackled. Yeah. Just jack it out.
Well, let's head down to the ground, shall we? Because we've got our team, Matthew Pavlich, Will Schofield and Sean Burgoyne. And surprise, surprise, Pav wants to talk about Josh Tracy.
He's a great player, isn't he? He's a presence up there. We've seen Riley Phil-Thorp for the Crows be a big presence as well. And he was one of the players and one of the reasons why the Crows were able to get back in that game. But Josh Tracy early, Scully, he was on fire.
I said this at the top of the coverage. I love the big kahuna, and he really brings his teammates along with him as well. He's a presence. I mean, this is his first goal of the day, and you just see him 55 out. He knew he had that in him as soon as he got it. But what he's doing around the ground is he's bringing defenders to him, which is, he's kicked 2 goals, but he's making others dangerous as well. But he's throwing people out of the way as well. A real presence right now in the front forward line.
So, Sean, if you're the Adelaide defence, how are you trying to get across to him? Because you have seen a couple of times where a number of the Adelaide defenders have gone third or fourth man up.
Well, you've got to be really careful that you don't leave your opponent too early and go across the air assist, because you can create a +1 on the ground. Yeah. So I think it's how the ball comes in. You've got to really pressure that ball and make sure that it's not kicked to his advantage.
Really interesting battle, what we're seeing here at ground level, because one of the players you guys talked about, Hayden Young, who had an outstanding first quarter, Shawnee, he was on fire, 10 disposals in that first quarter, and then he was shut down a bit.
Yeah, well, we spoke about it pre-game. He was very boisterous during the week, wasn't he? But he was the fire starter in that first quarter, 10 disposals, and then he went forward. Here's his left foot kicking inside 50, such a weapon. But he went forward, came out of the square, and he clunked one, goes back and kicks the goal. Peeling went to him in that second quarter, had the 1 disposal, but it's all about the first quarter.
Well, he's a missing piece. He goes forward like that. It's a missing piece for Fremantle, because Brayshaw and Sarong don't really do that. And they missed him to start the year. He played a game with Peel, kicked 3 in that, played last week, and he looks properly back to Hayden Young that we know now.
Yeah, I think that the Crows put some work into him. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens, Kat, in this second half, because what we're seeing, elite pressure, really good game of footy, contested style, but both forward lines getting opportunities as well.
Hayden Young's a competitor. He'll relish the challenge, but you wanted to touch on Josh Tracy as well.
Just to back up what the boys were saying there at ground level, and Joe, you said it pre-game, he's the alpha forward, and I really love that in terms of the way you described it. I know that Scully called him the big kahuna as well, which is pretty cool, but it's also the defensive side of the game. That's what Justin Longmuir would love, the fact he gets up high, right? So he's up high and he's invested in restricting and putting just enough pressure on to cause a turnover. Then what he does, he sees the turnover has happened, they win the free kick, he goes back into his forward craft. He gets in amongst with Darcy, they're all blocking for each other, which I love as a forward group. The figures are getting involved, and then he obviously then leads into the space, which is a nice little hole there, another block, gets the free kick, Kane gives it away, another one. And so he's invested high, but then gets back, and his craft as a forward. I like that little forward group coming together to try and get at least one out, and it was Tracy on that occasion.
Yeah, the coaching staff would love that, but glad you showed that clip. Adelaide have been undisciplined with their free kicks. I mean, Riley O'Brien's given away 3 in the ruck. We've seen Mark Keane give away a couple, so Tracy's received 3 free kicks. They've given away some 50-metre penalties, free kicks off the ball, so that's been a big issue for Adelaide as well. It's put them under pressure, but only undisciplined. They've been a bit jittery going in the air, contest-wise, so if they can tighten that up, they're in this game.
Matthew Mix probably would have mentioned that.
I reckon.
Let's head into the newsroom now and bring in the Herald Sun's John Ralph. Ralphie, spectacular ANZAC Day ceremony at the MCG earlier today. And then as for the footy, well, these old and slow Magpies already kicked butts. They are premiership contenders.
Well, I'll tell you what, Anzac Day is footy's greatest certainty. It never fails to deliver so much drama. Now, Essendon were actually in the lead in the driving rain in the third quarter, and then, of course, Collingwood took over, a 41-point victory. So, great news for Steele Sidebottom. His second Anzac Day medal, 9 years on from the 2016 version, and an injury crisis which was averted for the Pies after what had seemed like another ACL tear for Dan McStay. So, we show you the vision here. His left knee buckled again on him after that 2023 knee reconstruction. But Coach Craig McRae post-match really confident it's only a medial ligament sprain, maybe a 4 to 6 weeker, but that is huge news. Captain Darcy Moore knows certainly for next week, given that vertigo symptoms, they still continue to persist. Harry Jones could still be fit against North Melbourne after his ankle turned on him. He should be fine though for next week. So Brad Scott says he's never felt so hopeless as in the third quarter when an electrical fault meant both benches lost communication with the boxers. Craig McRae with those veterans took it in his stride. Brad wasn't so thrilled. Collingwood are a very, very serious side at 140 percentage points and 6-1 on the win-loss tally.
Oh, they're well positioned, aren't they? How impressive have you been with the Pies?
Very. I watched their first game. We were there in round 0, and they looked well off in terms of where they were fitness-wise. I know it was a very humid and hot day, but from that point, the way that the senior players have taken control until their very best in Sidebottom and Pendlebury have really changed the fortunes of this team.
It's been a sharp turnaround, hasn't
Yeah.
it? And the good thing about banking wins early is now they can manage this playing group for the rest of the season. They can give guys rest at the right time and really make sure they're peaking come late August.
God, you always forget about that opening round game now,
Yeah.
don't you? How well they're playing.
That's right.
Well, we've got plenty to look forward to on Monday night on Fox Footy, as per usual. Back-to-back shows of AFL 360 and On the Couch. Coaches Night, Andrew McQuarrie.
All right, folks, while they're just discussing that, let's get back and have a look at the stats there. Where were we? Jack Saligo there for the Crows, up to 11 disposals. Matty Crouch also 11. Let's just roll down a little bit more. Matthew Johnson there for the Dockers on 10 for kicks, 6 handballs. There we go. James Peatling there, 8 touches there for the Crows, 4 clearances, going quite nicely there. Let's roll on down a little bit more. We'll see who else we got. Who else? Alex Pearce. Alex Pearce, I think we covered him, didn't we? 5 touches. He's just had the 5 handballs. Yo, Addy G. Adrian Sports Channel. How you going? Big Fremantle fan in the house. Of course, his second favourite team, the Magpies. Collingwood won today. He's hoping for a double win today with the Fremantle Dockers. They're looking good, but tell you what, you just want to hope the Dockers can keep on rolling, keep this form going. Tell you what, they're looking pretty good, the Dockers. Looks like they've got a bit of speed and a bit of flair about them today. They definitely come out to play. They're on song today, playing Go Flag Mantle. Well, they've still got to beat the Pies first, Eddie G. My gosh. Crying Crows getting found out again. Crumble under pressure. Go Cats. There we go. Got a few Cat supporters in here as well. See, everyone loves the footy, especially Anzac Day footy. And the Cats will be another big game coming up this weekend. Tell you what, she's not a great deal in it, only the 5 disposals. Freo by 5. We hope Adelaide are dangerously what? Dangerously competitive? I don't know, it could be. I'm sure the Crows will come back at some point. 20 points. The Crows, of course, the Dockers won the first quarter. Crows won the second. 20 points is not a big margin. That could be eradicated in a matter of 4 minutes. So you just got to keep your eye on the ball. Fremantle. There we go. The kicks plus 13 to the Crows, but the handball, the Dockers linking up well there, plus 18. The inside 50s, 29 inside 50s for the Crows. They're getting plenty of opportunities. 14 scoring shots, so they're going quite well there. And, of course, the Crows, only 19 inside 50s. So the defence of the Dockers holding the Crows really, really well. Just having more play down the forward part of Freo, which is great news for Freo. That's what they need to continue to do. 9 scoring shots for the Crows for 19 inside 50s. Both teams' efficiency, well, it's a little bit down, 66, 67. I'm sure they'll like to creep that back up to around 70, 72. I would imagine. Efficiency inside 50, a little bit the same, because it looks like a perfect day over there, Addy G. I'd say the temperature's nice. It looks nice. Doesn't look like there's much of a breeze out there. You'll be able to let us know a little bit more, being a Perth boy. but hopefully all right. I tell you what, the umpire, I think they'll need a new whistle for the second half because they're blowing it an awful lot. 18, 13 free kicks, 31 in total. Freo's average is only 18 a game. They're at 18 for the first half, same as the Crows, 18 for the average. That's a lot of free kicks in a game so far. There we go. Today's game, they just let them play. Tonight's game, a little bit different. Hit-outs, it's the Crows by 3. Clearances, well, it's the Dockers by 4. Centre clearances, Dockers by 1. Stoppage clearances by 3. So she's a pretty tight game all around. It's just a Fremantle using the ball a little bit better, finding that, looks like they're finding that space a bit better. And as I said, Shai Bolton, he looks to be one of the pickups of the season. And of course, he's certainly doing his job. I think. There we go. Contested possessions, uncontested. Not much in that. The marks, inside 50 marks. Good to see both teams getting 5 apiece. There we go. Let's get back here. But I think Shaw was low 20s. There we go. 20s today. So it's going to be a perfect evening for football over there at Optus Stadium there in Perth. But I think, Shai Bolton, I think it took a little bit of time for the look at me tag for him to take that off himself and start to play the team game. And I think it certainly showed that in this game, what he is capable of. And he's gelling well with the team, it seems. He's doing a great job out there, Shai Bolton. All right, let's get back to the commentators, folks. We are under 2 minutes before the start of the second quarter, before the bounce. Don't forget to stick your vote in. Who's going to win? So far, we've got 60% saying the Fremantle Dockers are going to win. I better stick my vote in. My gosh, I think I'm going to tip Adelaide, and they're behind. All right, that's all right. Look at me, Bolton, exactly right. Well, you know what? He was a little bit the same at Richmond. He's always been a look at me type of player, Shai Bolton. But when he actually settles down and does the team orientated stuff, he really combines well and really, really effective. It's exactly what he's doing this evening. All right, let's get back down to the commentators, and I'll take us into the bounce of the ball for the second half. It's the Dockers by 20 points.
In that first quarter, unfortunately, but I guess what's pleasing is we're still in it. We found a way. We had a good chat through that, what this needs to look like going forward, and it's a fair bit to work on, but we're pretty confident we know what it is. And Fogg's out, but Phil-Thorp still looking really dangerous. Do you look like you want to isolate him at any stage? Just got to get him the ball more. Yeah, we got to go in there, give him a chance as much as we can, because he looks really dangerous, but the key's around that midfield. They bashed us in there in the first quarter, so we can't let that happen again. And no worries, mate. Good luck for the second half.
Matthew Nix there with Sean Burgoyne. They just want to get the footy to their forwards a bit more in this second half. And if they do that, Will Schofield, they'll be in with a big chance.
Yeah, well, not at inside 50s. It's not going to get the job done against this Freo side, and they know that. And, inside 50s means your mids need to lift. So this man on screen, he had a better second quarter. He was quiet in that first, but he's the leader. Like, he's your big bull. He sets the standard and look to Jordan Dawson to really step up this half.
They are ready to go to start this third quarter. Big second half of footy coming. 4 points so vital for both of these teams. Crows in 5th spot coming into tonight. Fremantle just outside the 8 in 9th. And here we go, second half ANZAC Day footy from Optus Stadium. The Len Hall tribute match, Fremantle and Adelaide. And a good bounce in the middle as O'Brien gets the hit out down, and Dawson went through. Now Curvis there as well. And we'll get a ball up.
Going to keep a close eye on Peatland, because he was the one that went to Young, but he started the third term at half forward. Luke Ryan opposed to him.
Now Rankine and Young at that stoppage. Sarong swings a kick. Michael only able to attack it. Worrell, he's been solid back there. Gets it to Dawson. And get back on his left boot with a high ball out to the wing. The two rucks are out there off the hands of Warner. Has been patched up at the half. Brayshaw, Young, back for Warner. And now Clark through the centre square they go. Sarong for Young. They break through the lines and they deliver the footy in. Amos was sat up on his head, keen with the spoil. Miller had to gather at his shoelaces. Now he's got some issues. Held a while in the tackle. Fremantle pressing. Adelaide out of defence. Isaac Cummings' kick goes wide to the boundary line and out of play.
Amos was out on that occasion. The kick from Young just sat on his head.
Well, it was the right option to kick it. This was off the ball. That was the high contact right before the half.
That'll be looked at.
Yeah, it didn't look like much at the time. I still don't think that's much better.
Ball thrown in. Knocked back down. Rankine. Little fumble to start with. Brayshaw's in there. Pushes off Laird. Gathers the footy. Swings it goalward, but it just goes up and down. Switkowski knocked it away. Sarong was good. Young's there. Now Johnson will turn defensively. The fumble from Darcy. Put him under the pump. And O'Brien brought him to ground. And Adelaide gained some territory. Footy will stay in play momentarily.
It's that extra handle again from Matt Johnson being the culprit a couple of times. So fair enough. Go back to your numbers, but
not back to your ruck.
There's a couple of opportunities here to get this ball deep inside your forward half. Instead, you find yourself actually at half back.
You got to be smarter than that. You got to know Sean Darcy's not the man to be feeding back to a stoppage.
O'Brien down to the front. Rankine was waiting to.
Surely the big ruck wasn't calling for it, Scott.
Well, you'd think not. I mean, but Matty Johnson's the one who wheeled around and did that. I just think you got to be smarter, know the state of game, know where you're on the field.
Darcy and O'Brien lock up again. Get your thoughts on how you're seeing that battle unfolding. Johnson gets forward this time to Young, and Tracy leads up.
Much better from Johnson. Went forward with the handball.
He's going to look up inside 50 and send a high one towards McDonald. Frederick down there too. Amos turn her over, waiting front and centre. Switkowski centering ball. McDonald juggling mark. They kept the footy alive, and Switkowski found a target.
Hasn't had a huge night. Sam Switkowski with ball in hand, only the 6 disposals, but his pressure, his ability to be there front square and show up when a teammate is needed, and then that centering kick, just really smart ball use. And one of those Fremantle leaders that the heat was on this week, standing up to this point in the game.
Oscar McDonald finding a spot in this team. He kicks his second. He's loving life up forward.
He's not kicking like a backman, perhaps he's kicking like a forward. And it was really smart movement by him, actually. He competed aerially in that contest and just found his way to feed his way out. So you see him here just on the peripheral of the contest, jumps, and then watch his movement here. Just finds his way. I know that's a bit fortuitous, but that's movement, just
staying active and getting to a position dangerously. Let's have a look at Switkowski though, because he's the one that just gets in the vision. And you're right, he was active. McDonald got to a dangerous position where the ball was always going to go if there was a quick kick to the top of the square. Smart ball use from Switkowski. Good positioning from McDonald.
2 goals for McDonald. Playing a really handy role in the team. Luke Jackson out. Voss out with suspension. Well done by Darcy, down to Young, and now Brayshaw and Dawson just wrestle with each other and forget about the footy. What a pick up from Sarong as they clamber over the top of it again. Peatling wrapped up. Sarong goes in hard.
Yeah, well, this is their prime movers in their Fremantle against the prime movers of Adelaide. Young, Sarong, Brayshaw, Dawson, Rankine, Saligo.
Up by Darcy. Sarong again. Cleverly done along the ground to allow Young to escape. Great craft at the stoppage as the kick goes to the 50. Worrell there. Amos kept it alive. Worrell can straighten things up with a good kick to O'Brien.
Yeah, that's good.
Really well done, both defensively, but then with ball in hand as well.
Cumming kicks the footy to half forward. Phil-Thorp's got it beat free, then he rode the tackle, got it to Walker, away to Neil Bullen, who cruises towards goal, and he's just hassled out of it at the last second. Jordan Clark, a tremendous defensive effort.
Yeah, all the Fremantle players going to him as well, because this was a certain goal.
Yeah, that was good by Phil-Thorp to get their hands off.
And they did this, they worked it so perfectly, the Crows, but then the chase and the lunging tackle from Clark saved a certain goal.
Neil Bullen thought he was away. The speed of Jordan Clark closed the gap quickly as Darcy down to the front. Brayshaw in and under.
I think you asked me earlier about the match-up in the rucks. I think it's been very, very even. Both of them about the same amount of hit-outs, over 20 apiece, and maybe Darcy's slightly more ball in hand, but been a great matchup.
Darcy against Walker that time. Neil Bullen's kick smothered. Another stoppage inside 50 for the Crows.
Yeah, I've liked it too. I think it's been a really good battle because Darcy was absolutely outclassed last week.
Terrific crowd in. Enjoying the footy on Anzac Day. Taylor Walker taking too long to dispose of the football.
Yeah, he hasn't had the night that he would have hoped. Still time to turn around. He's just had the one kick, 2 handballs and a couple of holding the balls against Tex.
Disposal 20 coming up for Andrew Brayshaw.
It's his birthday as well, Tex. So we want to light it up in the second half here.
Well-placed kick for Young.
They're trying to put the foot down here, Fremantle. They've got their very best players on ball. Brayshaw to Young here. They'll get another opportunity.
Go short to Clark.
And we saw this play a fair bit in the first quarter from Fremantle. Just control when it's in slow play. Open up the defence of the Crows.
Short ball to Pearce.
What it does, you see that vision, it opens the ground up. So there's one-on-ones everywhere now, and they actually have a bit of time to use it. This probably isn't the guy you want the footy in the hands of, though. But if you look across the ground right now,
making a big arm.
look at that.
Yeah, it's good vision. See how they're trying to pull the Crows' defence apart, both with depth in their forwards pulling forward, but also their wingers and half-back stretching the field wide.
Some purpose to the method as the fist comes, and Laird will keep it in the field of play. Peatling, a tumbling ball to half-forward. Water nudged down of it. Well played by Curtin. Chips it over the top. He wants Phil-Thorp. The ball is taking an age to get to him as it runs into the pocket, using his strength. Now Neil Bullen. Bounce important. Went past Curtin. Walker crashed in. Dockers will get away with it. Draper. Young. Now Johnson. And a skewed kick off the side of the boot as he was looking longer.
So what that does do, though, when you spread the ground out, harder to defend the other way back.
Isaac coming with the footy.
Yeah, exactly right, Scott. You want to make sure you hit your target or at least get a stoppage and reset the ground. Otherwise, as the Crows almost showed there, you're very vulnerable behind the ball.
Think about trying to launch a long bomb. He's going to just lay it up. He's going to heave into it. Make good connection. Right to the line. Big pack up. Huge amount of numbers down there. And the Dockers force it over.
Phil-Thorp, you could just see on screen, he was saying a bit lower. Maybe get it in a bit earlier.
There's a lot of players, Freo players, they flooded that D50 there. They had almost every one of their players inside Adelaide's forward 50.
What decision does Luke Ryan make? That kick, a poor one. It will bounce its way towards Brendan Cox and be seen out of play, but the last couple of Freo kicks, not all that clean.
Well, it was the right option. It's not like absolutely bellied it. Kicked it straight out of the middle and didn't spin properly at all, but they were probably out actually, Freo.
Terrific atmosphere on a Friday night Anzac Day game. Crows pressing. Nankervis's kick rolling its way to Warner. Sharp. Wagner. Good smother by Nankervis and out of play again.
Yeah, so pretty even numbers in around the contest, but also ahead and behind the balls for both teams. Pretty much one-on-one. So Sharp there, you can see left of screen. He's the one, the winger, the wide winger, heading back to his position. Frederick, the high half forward for the Dockers. The Crows with 6 forwards ahead of the play.
Brayshaw, Johnson, Sarong. Back for the run of Johnson, who gets them rolling forward with a long kick towards the 50. Keenan Amos wrestle. Whoa! A towering mark in defence. He's played a very good game.
Oh, he's been so good. That's the second intercept mark just this quarter. And he just had eyes for the footy.
Cross to Michael Annie. And now Hinge. And turnover. Ryan's got it. Now releases Clark. And on the quick counter-attack, Young's got a match up there against Miller up. And it's knocked away by the Crows into the forward pocket.
It was really well defended from Miller because they were out and Young had good position. But the kick from Miller coming out as well was elite. So he's having a nice little season so far. Good to see him back to full fitness.
Yeah, I mean, we've missed a lot of his footy, haven't we, with injury.
Not a bad seat in the house in this terrific stadium. As the ball's knocked away, Peatling. Dawson off a step. Chapman underneath it with courage. Going with the flight of the footy and reeling it in.
He just went, as soon as that ball left the boot, he just went, that was so courageous.
No regard for his own safety. He won the footy, he pumps it back in. Tracy up. O'Brien helping. Miller up. Michael Annie, just a dump kick out of defence. Ryan trying to fist it back forward. Saligo taking them on. They're trying to bust through the corridor. Clark gets in the road. Ryan's in there. Crouch, the Crows threaten. If they get clear here, they will be away. Dawson, wrapped up by Frederick. Got a kick somehow. They're just trying to surge it forward, the Crows. And they eventually get some free space. Isaac Cumming will go wide to Walker.
Now they're actually out here.
The kick goes long. It's in the direction of Phil-Thorp. Almost. Warner put his body on the line. Brennan Cox tackled. It looked a certain mark for the Crows. And Johnson will see it over the boundary.
And they're out everywhere. The Crows as Carl Warner picks himself up. Brave effort. Perhaps it was going back with the flight. He had to because he's already strapped up. But they're out. Phil-Thorp. It was great play from the Crows in around the centre of the ground to absorb some tackle. Dawson really stood up well.
Walker out of the ruck. Warner's back there. And now Sarong. Very much an arm wrestle to start this third quarter. O'Brien committed to it. Miller's a good kick. He wants a target. Almost found Rochelle. Darcy back there helping. Ryan. Sarong. His duck kick out of defence. Almost reeled in by Miller. Frederick was good. Now Sharp is away. He's got Amos on the wing. Free space ahead. Tracy waiting for a target. Tracy working hard back inside 50. Wagner trying to run past. Had to give it back to Amos. Now the delivery. Tracy in front. Murray played it well. Bolton electric. He's got O'Brien for company. Frederick down there too. And a terrific tackle again. Josh Worrell is playing some sort of game, but the free kick given away for a sling.
Yeah, fantastic for Worrell. Great defence, but unfortunately just the momentum.
That's not there at all. I'm going to be honest. The momentum, the effort he put in, he's holding the player. I don't like that free kick.
Harsh call on the Crows. Freo come up with the footy. And it's Michael Frederick with the Sharon on his boot, curling it to perfection. He's worked all the angles tonight as he adds another for Fremantle. And they extend out to a 31-point lead.
He's been important, Michael Frederick. He's become a classy finishes. Left foot snap early in the first term, and then that one. There it is. So Worrell again. It's a line ball decision. Umpire was right there.
I think we're asking too much about players and too much about umpires to be calling that a free kick. All of his momentum's one way. Maybe there's a double action, but maybe there's not. But regardless of that,
I think he's saying he's out of bounds. You can't. It's the fact that they're out of bounds.
no, it's not a standing tackle. They're going as hard as they can possibly go. But regardless, that finish from Frederick is elite, like high level, top shelf, brilliant footy. And you're going to be able to finish it.
Maybe an injury concern here for Jai Amos.
Adductor, groin type of stretch or some testing there. We'll get Sean Burgoyne onto that for us.
Freo back out over a 30-point lead. Phil-Thorp, handball forward. Peatling will tumble the ball up to Taylor Walker. Took it nicely, fed inboard to Keys. Off the left boot. They need to manufacture something. Rochelle.
How often he's done that?
He looks right, doesn't it? He and Phil-Thorp are the two most dangerous. He's running Luke Ryan around and he can't keep with him, Ryan.
Frederick at one end. Had to get it bending from the boundary. And Rochellette's touched off the mark. There's still a chance. Neil Bullen trying to step through some trouble. He's shrugged the tackle, but it's near side.
Gee, they've done that well a couple of times tonight, the Crows, Dawson in particular, but that time Neil Bullen standing up for the tackle, staying active with his feet. Good desperation there from Ryan.
Boy, but smart. Yeah, right. He was right, ready to go, and he knew the exact moment it was going to be play on. Goal-saving smother.
Crows need to be making the most of those opportunities. With a 30-point deficit in this third term. Long ball. Phil-Thorp competing with Tracy. Great battle that in the airs. Johnson's handball, a dangerous one. Bolton goes to retrieve it. Tracy, arms clear. Fed it back to the help of Sarong. They peel away from him. Long ball out to Brayshaw. And they work it nicely, kept composed. They find McDonald.
That was a poor press by Phil-Thorp. He just needed to stay with his man there, and Brayshaw had no options.
So he's gone very slow here, and it's allowed Michael Annie and also Rankine behind the play. So
Phil-Thorp's injured here. He's come off with a hand complaint. We'll get Sean to keep an eye on that.
A kick to half forward. Injury concerns perhaps for key forwards for both teams, as Crouch has taken in a standing tackle.
Yeah, guys, Riley Phil-Thorp's now is just heading into the change rooms with a hand complaint. Both physios are going with him.
Thanks, Shauners. Johnson, Clark, Sarong involved. Sarong in and under again has been good. Miller up. Was coughed up to that time. Pete Lang to Rankine. Great kick off a step, finds Rochelle.
So to get more involved, Rochelle. Like to see him even further up the ground.
Like to see him back after that nasty injury. Neil Bullen in the middle of the ground. Knocked it across. Miller up. Wants support. He just shovels the footy out in the air. Taylor arrives. Crows are out here if they get it forward. They've got the extra number. Curtin, what a pickup. And look away handball to Rochelle, who's pushed forward. And then off the left. Boy, that's a beautiful kick. Back to the advantage of Nan Curvis, who takes the mark.
So what's great about Rochelle getting up the ground and involved, he then goes hard back the other way. As a forward, you've got a licence to do that. You can spit forward. You see the vision here.
And that's a finger, but he's certainly hand or get a good view of what that might be look like as this third quarter turns on or keeps going on. But what a kick that was, and this is an important one.
On the boot of Nan Curvis. Already a miss tonight. Crucial set shot. And he leaves it out there. They've had some opportunities in this quarter, the Crows, to eat into the deficit.
This game, perhaps, I reckon they've had probably 5 very kickable set shots, all at important moments, and they've missed all of them.
The simple thing in this quarter is very even. Look at all the stats: contested possession, ground ball gets, inside 50s, clearances probably in favour of Freo, but 7 inside 50s apiece, 2 goals for Freo, 3 points to the Crows.
Spread out again. You can see this ground. Look how big Freo are making this. Very difficult to defend, but you have to be elite with your skills, because if Freo turn this over, they've got no defence behind it.
Yeah, they've been held up on this play, so they've got to this point of the ground and had to go long down the line a number of times.
In the Tracy direction, who elevates. And the difference it makes with a long kick down the line when it's taken by your big forward.
Yeah, it's a one contest, and it allows you then to be able to defend behind it. Now they get to have another opportunity. Now they've got their defence set up for it.
Wagner will send it inside 50. A high ball, Darcy resting forward, and a spoil from behind on Worrell. Crouch, back for Worrell. Michael only goes wide, then Curvis. Steps inside Reed. Away to Dawson. Just a duck kick out of defence. High ball, Warner put his body on the line again. Spills down, Brendan Cox out of the tackle. Now it's Sarong. Fremantle building. Clark off the left. Long ball goes in. Marking contest. Reed trying to elevate. Back there, Darcy. And rushed through by Hinch.
He's had a quiet night there for just the one disposal, but there's that finger or hand injury from Phil-Thorp.
So they're already strapped in that contest. Sometimes that can be a webbing in between, which is a nasty injury.
A couple of times when the Dockers have gone inside their 450, just their smalls, not at the drop of the ball. So
Rankine is there, a good spoil away by Clark.
So an opportunity for the Crows, if you're in a position to win that ball, particularly if it's a soft drop like it has been a couple of times, really mop that one up and then go really fast back out the other side or up through the corridor to score.
Rankine just the one touch this quarter.
Darcy won it down. Went through the legs of O'Brien. Darcy's in there. Young 2. Taylor. And another stoppage.
Yeah, conversely, Caleb's on 11. Hayden Young 8. So
Rankine's been playing more forward, but he's someone in there to put in the mid, especially at this stage of the game.
Brayshaw hooks the kick aggressively into the pocket. Bounce its way out of play. The Crows will ask the question, but get a boundary throw in.
I feel like Adelaide, they felt like they're just being beaten up around the ball for most of this game, so they're trying to keep the bigger bodies in there, but it's going to come a time pretty quickly where they need a change of speed in there.
Darcy front position. Brayshaw battles with Saliga. The Crow did well to get his boot to it. Sent it up to half-back. It bypassed Pearson Walker. Now Rochelle gets it back to Walker. And a holding free kick that lingered on Rochelle. So downfield free goes to Taylor Walker.
So Curtin is the one now, the deepest forward. You can see he just led up there on Draper. The Phil-Thorp off.
On 15 for Crouch. And to crab sideways and get it to Walker. Tumbling ball, no real clean method forward there for the Crows. Draper's after it for the Dockers. Wagner, now Chapman. Clark, go backwards. Johnson just heaves it up the wing. Young and Hinge, they both carried under the footy. Crouch was waiting to accept. Laird, Michaelani, Murray, Laird. The Crows with some run now. Over the top to Dawson. This is where it can be dangerous. He places the kick. Just misses Keys, who can still run onto it. Kept it alive. Bounce crucial. Chapman there. Did he take on Rochelle? It's going to be a ball up.
There was an opportunity here for Matty Johnson to switch that footy. He went long down the line at Adelaide and now got the rugby run going. Fremantle, be careful here because 4 minutes to go in this quarter. Not long left in the match. Adelaide have unleashed.
Crows need a goal here. It's knocked towards the boundary. Brayshaw beat Rochelle. Rankin a great tackle. Just got rid of it, Brayshaw, and then Sharp dragged down. And the footy spills out. Crows still a chance. Dawson, left, right. And then he was shallow on the kick, and Brayshaw can swallow it up, playing a big game.
He is having a big game. He's having a big third term as well, perhaps.
24 disposals for Andrew Brayshaw. Now the footy with Frederick. He's ticked up to 25 now, Andrew Brayshaw, off that last one. The long ball, McDonald's got 2 to beat. O'Brien was there with the height. Reid has had a quiet day, as you mentioned. Pav coming off the rising star. The youngster.
Yeah, he's had a tough night. They've had enough inside 50s, 39 to 27, so still an advantage there, Fremantle, and just got over his head. Sometimes that can be the case when you're playing that high half-forward role.
A type of player, though, that can kick goals in a quick succession, as we've seen earlier on. Is Riley Phil-Thorp really struggling with that injury to his hand.
Yeah, it looked a nasty one, didn't it? Let's hope he can get patched up and back out there.
No Fogarty tonight now. No Phil-Thorp in the forward line, who have been so devastating with their attacking weapons to start. A handball from Johnson now to hold in a ball, free kick. It was a late whistle against Johnson.
I don't want to bash a young player, but I think he's had enough experience now. He's had some poor decisions in this quarter, Matt Johnson.
Taylor goes long. Draper's there. Rankin held front position brilliantly.
And why they've been poor is the state of the game right now. Fremantle are owning it, but Adelaide are now saying to really attack the game. So you can't have cough-ups. You can't just bomb it long down the line because Adelaide want a rugby run and come back through the middle of the ground and attack and get guys like Rankine, Rochelle into the game because that is how they win, Adelaide, and they know that.
Still searching for their first goal of the term, the Crows. 3 behinds in the quarter. Set shot kicking hasn't been a feature tonight for Adelaide. And it's Rankin from just inside 50. And he hooks that one badly. In fact, he had a bounce on the full.
Yeah, neither team really has actually, there's been lots of pressure in the game, but on that occasion, of course, set shot, not much pressure on that one, outside of all the focus being on you, but Fremantle going 60% by foot, Adelaide 54. You look at the midfielders, Caleb Sarong 17%, Brayshaw's below 42. There you go, kicking efficiency on your screen there. Both teams finding it hard to use the ball well.
As the footy goes up the wing, and Dudley's tackled.
Boys, Joe Misses back on now. He's been probably about 5 to 10 minutes off getting his body looked at, but he's come back on now, gone back forward.
That's a boost for Fremantle. Thanks, Sean. Phil-Thorp off the ground with that hand injury. As O'Brien and Darcy go at it again. Taylor. Brayshaw's been so busy. Saligo with a good tackle.
A bit of support from the umpire. Very good.
2:20 remaining this third term. Spills out to Taylor, now Saligo from 50 can pin the ears back, sends it to the square. Rankin was infringed upon. There was a real wrestle going on. Was there front on contact?
Could have been. Yeah, Luke Ryan's found it difficult a couple of times on the likes of Rochelle and Rankin. He's looked like his positioning a couple of times, Sco. Really poor starting positions, and that could have almost been a free kick.
If you get yourself out of shape against Rochelle and Rankine, they're so smart. They may not be the strongest players out there, but they're so smart. You get their starting position wrong, you get yourself into real trouble.
Another behind to the Crows. Michael landing in the air. McDonald's been attacking for a few minutes now, Adelaide. Fremantle have lost nothing more than running it up the other end. And here's Dudley in possession. Murphy Reid been quiet tonight, but the Rising Stars got all the tricks in the kit bag. We spoke about him moments ago. It hadn't really impacted, but he only needs that half chance, that moment, and Murphy Reid can shine.
I think he's saying thanks to Zion Dudley for the deft tap. This was just
Brilliant, that is.
so smart. Don't take possession. We talked about it, didn't we? Only had one disposal up to a couple of minutes ago, and then it's an elite finish.
That's the walk-off finish, isn't it?
He's so crafty.
Oh, he's in the crowd already. You know,
He's on the move. I'm going to jump the fence and sit in the first row and clap myself. He's thinking.
leave that to his coach after the siren.
Yes. But the tap here, that's so smart.
Yeah, I love players like Isaiah Dudley, Murphy Reid, that they don't need 30 touches. They're just so clever and smart. There's one opportunity, they kick the goal.
And after the Crows were doing so much attacking, Fremantle punished the other way, and they want more too. The long kick goes in. Amos there, brought to ground, still alive. McDonald away, Switkowski! A flurry from Freo to finish the third term.
Yeah, well, just remember, Pools, that in the first quarter, they kicked 2 goals in the last 90 seconds of that one, and another couple here in more than red time. Red time's the last 5. This is dark maroon sort of light race. I'm trying to go deeper than red, but that's big pencil. It's as deep as I can go. Yeah, there you go. But
Start from McDonald there, wasn't it? So you almost thought about the snap over the shoulder, but is this a free kick?
yeah, it's a free kick, absolutely. But they stay involved, and exactly right.
First give it to someone in a better position.
Sometimes you can be, a bit hungry there and chuck it on the shoulder, but give that. He's done that a few times, hasn't he, McDonald?
He's had a good game. Outmarked a couple of times, but first give there, really important, and back-to-back goals for the Dockers.
All knocked down in the middle, and Fremantle make a move late in this third term. The Crows had their opportunities, weren't able to claim them, and now Fremantle finishing fast. Brayshaw slips it through again. Murphy Reid the step. Now it's through to Tracy. They're lining up to finish them now. But Tracy hits the post.
In the centre square, bounce dominance.
Brayshaw, yeah.
He's had a big night, Brayshaw. 27, we talked about it earlier perhaps. 7 score involvements, 7 inside 50s, 14 contested possessions. He's having a big night, Brayshaw.
Kicked by Keane. Long ball, Neil Bullen. Crows desperate for a goal before three-quarter time. Crouch. Neil Bullen on the burst. O'Brien's pushing forward.
A great kick.
Pierce did all he could to get back. O'Brien held a good mark. Can they make the most of an inside 50 here? O'Brien looks up. He just chips it to a dangerous area. It's knocked away from Walker. Saligo, Dudley's in there. And then Draper tackled. Dudley, handball over the head, dangerous. He flicked it straight to Dawson, who heads goalward, but Ryan will swallow it up.
Yeah, Ryan's been good at that tonight, being that last man in defence. The one-on-ones, he has struggled a little bit on the smaller players, but he's given his team a bit of cover.
Clark long, up towards Tracy. Leeds kick ricochets away. And possession will go to Fremantle. Andrew Brayshaw leading from the front. With the siren set to go. We'll have the last say, you'd think, in this third term. An impressive one from the home side. As Brayshaw was set down as he got the kick away. His teammates come in, but they'll be very happy with their work in that third term. It's a 20-point margin at the half. And the Dockers have jumped it out to a 42-point
You're watching ANZAC Day 3 on Fox. If you love...
All right, there we go. 3/4 time, folks. 42 points. The lead is for the Dockers now, of course. Tell you what, they're extending at 20 points at half time. 42 at 3/4 time. Looks like the Dockers might be set for victory here. Anzac Day evening. Tell you what, they're playing pretty good football, Colin. Tell you what, they are playing good. Of course, Addy G would be very happy being a Freo supporter. Tell you what, it doesn't look like they're stopping at all. I was expecting Adelaide to make a little bit more of a fight of this game, have a little bit of a chance for their run, but it just doesn't look like it's happening. Freo certainly hasn't allowed Adelaide, well, any space with the ball to do that. And to keep Adelaide to just 5 goals, 8 up until 3/4 time, it's a fantastic job the Dockers are doing. And their defence. There we go. Freo victorious. There we go. Speak of the Freo fan, there's Addy Sports Channel. Tell you what, it looks like now I got this one wrong. I tipped the Crows, of course, but I think, I think the Dockers are going to go on for a pretty nice victory here. It looks that way anyway. And, of course, the poll was a bit tighter than that. It said 53% for Freo. It certainly looks that way. 42 points is going to be pretty tough for them to come back from there, but all you can do is give it a red hot crack in the last quarter and see what the Crows can produce. Let's just have a look at the top disposal getter on the ground so far. Caleb Sarong, 28. Tell you what, it's having some sort of game with Andy Brayshaw, 27. Rory Laird, the best for the Crows on 22. 21 is Jordan Dawson. There we go. There is your top 4. Matty Crouch on 18. Shay Bolton, there's the one we were talking about, Eddie G. He's doing all right. 16 touches, 9 kicks, 7 handballs, tackle, and 1 goal, 1. So doing quite well there. Good to see. James Peatling, 14 there for the Crows. Let's head on down. We'll probably see Tex Walker hasn't touched the ball too much. Just the 8 times for Taylor Tex Walker. 8 kicks, 3 marks, 1 handball, and a hit out. There we go. That is it. So the defensive work he's been well held there this evening for Tex Walker. And, of course, Riley Phil-Thorp only had the 7 touches. Tell you what, that is fantastic work by the Dockers defence down back. 3 kicks, 4 handballs, 2 goals, 1 to Riley Phil-Thorp, which is the 2 big guns down there, Tex and Riley down there for Adelaide. Jai miss. I'm not actually sure what happened to him. 5 touches. Did he get subbed off? I missed that one. Good tip, Kyle. You tip Freo. There we go. Sentinel, you're on the ball. All right, there we go. That is the leading stats up until 3/4 time. We're 2 minutes away from the bounce of the ball for the final quarter here on Anzac Day. And don't forget, folks, let me just check out. We've got a few games coming up tomorrow. And, of course, tomorrow, Saturday, it all kicks off at 1:20 p.m. Melbourne time. Should be a good game. St Kilda taking on the Brisbane Lions at Marvel Stadium. Following that, you've got Port Adelaide taking on North Melbourne. 4:15 Melbourne time at Adelaide Oval. And then that evening, tomorrow evening, should be a ripper game. GWS Giants taking on the Western Bulldogs, 7:35 p.m. Melbourne time up there in Canberra. Sunday, of course, we've got 3 more games. Gold Coast taking on Sydney, 1:15 Sunday at People's First Stadium. And then it should be another cracking game on Sunday at the MCG. 3:20 p.m. Carlton taking on Geelong. And, of course, to round out the round 7, you have Hawthorn taking on the West Coast Eagles. Should be an absolute ripper. I really don't know what game I'm going to do on Sunday, whether it be Gold Coast, Sydney, Hawthorn, West Coast, or just Carlton, Geelong. We'll wait and see. But you think Jai Miss was injured? Oh, okay. All right. There we go. Hopefully they'll let us know in the commentator. All right, let's get back down to the ground. We're 30 seconds, and there'll be the bounce of the ball for the final quarter. It's the Dockers by 42. Can they hang on?
First is Jordan Clark, how aggressive he is on the team defence. You can see him here on the back flank and just watch his running pattern. He's heavily invested in team defence here and not giving up. This is what it looks like when you buy into that mindset and you chase down. Neil Bullen's going to kick a certain goal there. He runs over 100 metres there, full 12 to get that tackle in. That's what invested look like. And here's Corey Warner coming in from the open side to get a spoil on Riley Phil-Thorp, who's out in the open. Two fantastic plays. It shows what happens when you invest in team defence.
I think it's so important, Scully, so it's not just what happens in around the contest, that off-ball work that goes so unrewarded at times. Sean, that footage there is just exactly what Fremantle fans and what Justin Lombier would have been asking for.
Well, it's the maintenance of the pressure. We saw it in the first 5 minutes, but the question has been with Freo the whole year, can they keep it going through a game? And they have so far, but we're 3/4 of the way in. They've got a big lead coming into this last quarter, 40 Adelaide away. They are one of the best scoring sides in the competition. They can score quickly. So if you take your foot off the pedal with what you're doing on a defensive side of things, it can quickly turn.
Yeah, I think the pressure factor that Sean just highlighted, so 198, around that 200 mark, is exactly where they need to be. Fremantle, they're ranked 15th across the first 6 rounds. Have a look at Optus Stadium, packed house, light show, magnificent side here.
ANZAC Day Footy, the Len Hall tribute match, and Fremantle with a 42-point lead at 3/4 time as we bounce back in the middle. Phil-Thorp is out there for the Crows, which is a good sign after that hand injury in that third term. Darcy wins it down. Bolton, Sarong, it's been clean at the stoppages, gets it out to Ryan. A long handball to Brayshaw, who's racked them up. Disposal 28. He'll cut back inside for Bolton. They'll play the numbers, and over the top they go to Johnson. Tracy wanted it short. They go with a high kick instead. Frederick down there. Cumming did well to knock the ball down. Neil Bullen tackled, spills away. Dudley takes it with the snap. The advantage is paid, and he's kicked it out on the full.
Well, it was a great tackle holding the ball. Dudley, a young player, just let the moment get a little bit over him. You just need to stop there, kick the goal.
Out of defence, Hinch. Can the Crows get the first one, at least to this final turn? A good mark to Johnson.
What about Brayshaw's spread from that last stoppage?
And the chip goes back into Bolton. Hinch crunched in, knocked it down, and now Curvis. Under the pump though, high ball. Johnson's got it again.
Well done. He stood under the last couple, Matt Johnson, but concerns here for the Crows early in this last term.
Disposal 22 for Johnson. He goes back to the centre circle for Draper. And now Clark highlighted his defensive efforts. He turns that one over though. Isaac Cumming, he's only got one option ahead. It's a pretty good one too. Isaac Rankine. Good foot race between he and Clark. He wants to step inside. Little kick off the left. Taylor Walker.
Strong grab by Walker up against Pearce. Absolutely rock solid mitts on that one, and it's a turnover that Freo forced themselves into. Isaac Rankine off to the races against the quick Jordan Clark, and a little bit of Candy as well.
He's not happy, Alex Pearce. He's had a very good night on Big Tex Walker, kept him quiet. I mean, he hasn't had much supply, only 31 inside 50s.
Hey guys, the Crows have made their sub-tactical, what it's called. Matt Crouch is out and Sid Draper's in.
Thanks, Sean. Game 285 for Taylor Walker. Could play 300 if he rolls through pretty much every game this season. On his birthday, he wants the first of the last for the Crows, but they missed there, and really a tale of their night with the set shot goal kicking.
Yeah, it's been poor tonight. Their set shot kicking has really let them down in big moments at times when they had the opportunity just to wrestle back momentum or potentially pull it in their way. They just haven't taken their opportunities in front of goal.
Matt Crouch subbed out with the 18 disposals tonight. Kick to half-back. Johnson, again, getting involved with another mark in this turn. Switkowski, nimbly done. Basketball style. Join the NBA Finals, perhaps. Handball from Johnson, inboard. Salego knocked it down. And now Wagner, retreat back to Brayshaw. He's enjoyed some freedom and some space tonight. Done the tough stuff as well as Chapman goes back and across to Brendan Cox.
So Frederick's going to get on the end of this. He's held his width all night tonight, and that's what's made the ground big. It's been an absolute tactic by Freo to do it, and he's got on the end of it a little bit because of it.
Helps your wingers as well to get rolled back and defend when your high half forwards are keeping that width and pushing so far up the ground.
Alex Pearce goes up and under with the kick. High ball in. Darcy with some push and shove. Hinge. Back there to Worrell. Good tackle from Amos. The Crows escape to Peatling. High ball. Rankine.
See how high Adelaide is here. Not many options in front of him, Rankine.
Has to go as long as he can. And Taylor Walker at the 50. Putting in the hard shift to get there. A long handball for Neil Bullen. Over the top, Michael Annie. Wrapped up by Ryan. Fed back Peatling. Creative handball over the top. Now Neil Bullen can finish. And from the pocket he does just that. The Crows finally break through.
That was really good transition, wasn't it, from the Crows, and great finish in the end from Neil Bullen. But this is the type of play, if there any chance of getting back into this game and just threatening this big lead, the 35-point lead, taking that, so that's the kick there. Just get it to your one-on-one. Let's have a look here, how hard.
Yeah, it's the work rate here.
Michael Annie works to get and go and support the ball. Neil Bullen, yeah, look at Fremantle defenders just caught, going all to the one player. Smart work from Neil Bullen out the back.
Yeah, they got him up high, and then when you do that, you've got to work back hard. So Neil Bullen started behind a lot of these Freo players, then ends up the other side. That's through work rate. You need to keep that going because Adelaide, we know, is going to keep bringing it.
Didn't kick a goal in the third term. They get one to start things in the last. Ball out of the middle. Keys and Brayshaw. Darcy was awkward and gave away a high contact for a kick. And will it just give the Crows a bit of a spark? And they just try to creep a little closer. As Keys goes with a high ball up towards the 50. It's short of Walker. Pearce attacked it. And he throws that one away. Sort of awkward looking handball style. And pick for a throw.
That's a good decision. It was a volleyball hit out of the air.
And the kick goes inside 50. Phil-Thorp was spoiled away by Brendan Cox, but the hand was over the shoulder. Free kick here to the Crows. Chance for two quick ones.
Yeah, this doesn't get called too often. This is, I think, his hand that isn't spoiling. You see it on the shoulder of Phil-Thorp. Very often defenders do that.
And get away with it.
And get away with it. Trust me, they get away with it. But the free kick's there and it's paid. And Phil-Thorp, a set shot that they have not kicked these tonight.
It's a big moment.
Big.
They found a goal through Neil Bullen. They get a free kick inside 50. The kick on Phil-Thorp is poor. Right across the face. It just needs in for a behind. They won't be able to mount a comeback unless they start finishing better.
Both backs get away with hand on the shoulder, as we see. Narkle on the phone. Looks like he's going to be injected into the game.
3-7 from set shots for the Crows.
They've left some out there. There's still a chance here, though. Draper subbed into the action. Peatling almost marked it. Brendan Cox tackled. Taylor's got him. Did want to get his boot to it, but it'll float its way out of bounds on the full.
They've come to play this final quarter, the Crows. There's still 6 goals down, but you just never know.
They can score quickly. Long ball goes in. Dawson up. Off hands. Warner's down there. Bolton, Draper will get it out there for Fremantle. Now Wagner, and the release kick to Amos. Nothing further afield, so just has to hold. Johnson surveying options. And Reid on the lead. In the end, it's just a nothing kick forward, and Worrell can intercept.
That's happened too often tonight of Johnson's boot, to be honest. He had lots of options, and you need to control the footy if you're Freo, because this is going to come back with interest, Adelaide here.
As soon as you don't hit that first one, there's not a huge amount ahead of the players. In the end, a 2-on-3.
Crows just want to try to put some doubt into Docker minds through this last 14 minutes.
Rankine's had a big last quarter. He's trying to lift.
The margin's still a big one, but the Crows controlling momentum. It's an aggressive kick through the middle, and Narkle will get his first disposal as a Docker to set up Brayshaw, and now Tracy can mark on 50, well within range if he wants to go back and take his time. He's going to pass it off. Bolton leading back, and they have butchered it over the back. Bolton still involved. Tackled now by Michael Annie. Wrestled to the turf. Made an attempt, could have been holding the ball. Now coming across with a handball to Lair. Back for Isaac coming, knocked down by Brayshaw. Stayed active, opens the door. On his Docker to boo. Knuckle hits the post.
Well, both teams monitoring the ball. It's safe to say there's Dudley. He's off. They've done the technical sub, we believe. He looks like he's okay. Darko is the one that's come on, but Josh Tracy just needed to take his 30 seconds set shot routine rather than keeping the ball alive, and the energy that's in this game for the Crows at the moment.
Ball knocked down. Fremantle retain it. Warner. The left boot and a down the ground free kick. Now there was a swinging arm coming through from Peatling, and he made contact with Warner after he kicked it, which is why we've got the down the ground free.
Yeah, so it's a really poor action, this one. This is the same as the Voss suspension.
There's another one last week as well that escapes my mind at the moment, but it's coming into the game a bit, the swinging arm, and
It's not a good action at all. This one
Connor Nash was the one.
Connor Nash was the one. He got 4 weeks.
And a huge man in that though.
Yeah, but it's the action though. If that's into his head, we've just seen
weeks.
it. 4 weeks.
Tracy, up on top of the 50 a few moments ago. From the angle this time, we'll go long. No issues with the distance. Carried the line, but off target. So 12 minutes to go.
So only 2 clearances so far this last term. We're 8 minutes down. So the Crows are just keeping energy in the game. They're free flowing. They don't want stoppage footy.
Michael Annie with some dash. Long to half forward. Phil-Thorp test out the hand. Just couldn't bring it down. Feeling the effects of that injury perhaps it's seen out of play.
Thought it might have been a chop of the arms. I think he was asking for it. There's a bit of bye play. I think Alex Spears said, I might have got away with one. Riley? Yeah, Riley not too happy either. Fair enough.
The ball thrown in. Tap down O'Brien. Saligo after it. The Freo chant begins around Optus Stadium. Phil-Thorp in front. Pearce there, shoulder to shoulder. And we'll get a stoppage.
Pearce and Cox have had really good games today. They've held up well against Walker and Phil-Thorp. We know that's a strength of Adelaide's, but I think the 2 key position backmen have probably won those battles.
Doctors fans enjoying what they're seeing, but it's Rankine from the pocket, tumbling it goalward, just across the face and very nearly able to sneak it through.
He's a dangerous forward, isn't he? You're right about the key defenders for Freo. They've been pretty solid, Cox and Pearce, but they just haven't had supply, the Crows. 36 inside 50s. They've had a bit more this last term, but that's been their issue, getting the ball in there.
Fremantle controlling things, will be in no rush. The control of the footy, the Crows, to start this final term, but as it has been through most of the night, just not able to make the most of opportunities, those limited ones they've had inside 50. The Dockers got a half back. It didn't quite hit Frederick. It was touched on the way through by Nat Curvis, and then Clark will be pinged for insufficient intent.
Absolutely, he will.
And just panicking a little bit with ball in hand at the moment. Freo just need to absorb probably another 3 or 4 minutes to really put this one to bed.
Dropped by Miller. This might open the door for the Dockers. Bolton to Narkle. Feeds it back through to Brayshaw. Now to Bolton from 50. Shake Bolton unleashes the kick, but it's out to the right.
Just a little what about me from Murphy Reid.
He's entitled to have a shot there, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
10 and a half to go. 36-point margin for Fremantle. Feeling comfortable. All the hard work done through the first 3 terms. Crows winning this quarter as it stands. Tracy taking another big mark on the wing. This time getting behind the footy. It's going to go long again. Up towards the 50. Amos is there. Bit of push and shove. Keane was appealing for a free kick. And we'll get it.
Yeah, so
Danger ball, almost turnover. Brayshaw was always active. Murray's able to mark it. The Crows will go all the way out to the wing. Pearce with a lunging spoil infringed on Curtin.
yeah, I think Fremantle defended the ground really well. So you see here again, there's just no quick play. They're going to try to go quick here, but they've just slowed their ball movement all day.
Worrell down the line. Up to Nankervis. He was bumped after he kicked it. Long ball in. Phil-Thorp takes it in front of McDonald.
Anytime I've seen Adelaide move it in quickly like that, Phil-Thorp's looked dangerous, but it might have happened 3 or 4 times. That's why the Fremantle backlines look good. It's moved in quickly. Phil-Thorp gets a one-on-one and it's hard to stop. But if you don't do that, then very hard for these key forwards to get on top. Another set shot incoming.
Injured his fingers or his hand in that third quarter. Spent some time down in the rooms. He's back out there from long range. It's straightening its way up. And finally gets some joy from the set shot. The Crows, the margin back to 30.
Yeah, it's 2 goals, 3 points. So a little bit of role reversal in this last term as compared to the third quarter. Pretty even. If you start to look at some of the numbers, it's well transitioned from the Crows. It's just Alex Spears probably got away with one earlier, gives that one away. So here's Oscar McDonald. We saw it a couple of times, didn't we? And he just can't allow. He's so big and strong and imposing. If he gets first crack at it, you're not going to get anywhere near his arms. He's a big man, and that's a nice finish from right on 50.
3 goals. It's a good return from him.
Is it ever? Yeah.
They needed that sort of goal kicking earlier in this match.
19 now for the season for Phil-Thorp as the Dockers will get the clearance. Sarong, Johnson, Clark. Now Warner out to Brayshaw. He spreads wide to the wing.
His work rate has been elite today. It has just been so good. He's done big shifts on the ground. He's barely come off. He's just been outstanding.
He's had 9 score involvements, 8 inside 50s. He's been one of the players of the match.
McDonald long, Tracy up. Off hands, Switkowski's down there. Tracy fighting for it. Bit of tunnel ball played. Reed in there. Trying to get it to Switkowski. He was crunched in the tackle. Was that through the court? So we'll go back to the Crows.
Yeah, they've had some big numbers through the middle of the ground. Fremantle, Sarong, he's had 10 clearances. Brayshaw, like you said, 9 score involvements. 8 inside 50s for him as well.
Pearce in the air and at ground level to Brayshaw, through to Wagner, across to Reed. He'll drive it in low. Good delivery for Young. A terrific spoil again from Worrell. Scully been very impressed with his efforts.
Yeah, Worrell, he's held them together really. I mean, 50 inside 50s to 37 at the moment, so they needed someone to stand up.
He's had 19 disposals as well, so his defensive efforts going been supreme, but gee, he wins the ball well in the air at ground level also.
O'Brien in the right, proposed to McDonald. Sarong opened it up. Reed dropped the footy. He was thinking goals just a little too soon. And then they sweat on it, and it's holding the ball.
It's good follow-up from Murphy Reid. We talked about him in that third term. He hardly had a touch all night. His pressure and his positioning has been solid enough on team defence, but he almost he looked like he had more time than he thought. He had probably had time to go onto his left. You can see he was trying to get onto the check side. Let's have a look here. Yeah, that's holding the ball.
Yeah, it is. I mean, rising star during the week. This is one of the great pickups of the year. This is right? You don't often get a player in the draft like this. He wasn't a top 5 pick. Freo got him and he's really delivered.
Pick 17 was Murphy Reid. Slid down in the draft ranks. A rising star nomination during the week. He loves a goal and he misses out to the right. He's had a scoring shot in every game he's played. He burst onto the scene with those 4 in quick succession. 367 seconds it was in round 1 against the Cats. But here go the Crows. Alex Pearce with a big mark.
He's had a great game. He's building a really good season, Alex Pearce.
Chip it back for Ryan.
I think they've had a challenging week, I think, internally, by the sounds. They said it was a pretty harsh review against the Demons, and when that's the case, you need your leaders to stand up the week after. Alex Pearce has been good, Hayden Young, Josh Tracy, Andy Brayshaw, Caleb Sarong and Sam Switkowski, all in their leadership group, all had good nights.
Long ball from Warner towards McDonald. Keane flies in. A free kick will go to the Crows.
It's been the defensive element that's been impressive.
Short pass, not 15. It was going to put them under the park, Murray. Murray's able to get away.
Well played.
From Switkowski, which is a tough thing to do.
Rob just chiseling one through the middle. Like it from the big fella.
Isaac coming. Chip the ball to half forward. Curtin. And continue the Crows inside 50. High ball to the hot spot. Taylor Walker just using all his experience there. Great poise and goal to nudge Pearce underneath it and take the one.
Taylor Walker, if he is an expert, he's a great kick, he's a great set shot at goal, but that move right there, he has done this hundreds of times to defenders. Just look at that perfect timing. It's not in the back. You can hear the crowd, or is it not going to come into the back? You're looking at me, like,
I'm very happy with that being not in the back because it's not two motions. That's what the umpire's looking for.
The Crows veteran. He'll thread one through. Another goal in the final term to the Crows.
Certainly had the better of this last term. 3 goals, 3 to 4 points, and they needed to. Fremantle actually had one more inside 50, but they just haven't been able to hit the scoreboard. They're using the ball a bit better as well. Let's have a look at this one. There's nothing wrong with that. You're allowed to hold your ground, or at least in the motion of marking, use your body like that.
as you should be allowed to. I think it allows players that are smarter and get in better positions to mark the footy. I don't mind the interpretation where we look at it like that and it doesn't get paid, because it allows those one-on-one contests in front of footy.
So back to 25 points, perhaps. Still time here. It's a long way back, but if they can get a quick one here, you just never know.
Same margin as it was at quarter time. And it's Fremantle holding on Bolton, so the footy will go back to the Dockers.
So Caden Sarong, one of their leaders, you can see him yelling there in screen, slow it down, slow it down. They want to take some time off the clock here.
Drilled the ball towards Switkowski, so there you go, an important touch.
Got the kick.
Away now to Isaac Cumming.
It brings the energy that the Crows have been looking for all this last term.
They want goals in a hurry. Peatling was there. Pearce was harassing him on the mark. Johnson back with courage. Did well to knock it down. Sarong, Warner. They've been putting their bodies on the line several times tonight. Clark, an elite kick up the wing to Switkowski. Tracy works hard to lead in short. The relief of the mark at half forward. And chipping over the top. Now it's Wagner, crowd urging him to go as he surges past the 50. Driving ball in long, McDonald's there, Miller up. We'll see it through from behind.
I'm not sure why you just don't walk or waltz in another 5 metres and have a shots going. That's saying a bit as well.
Saligo, away, Michael Annie. Now Keys. Hasn't found the goals tonight.
Perhaps passing.
He's kicked one in his last 16 games. Now the Crows are out. O'Brien on the lead. It is Rochelle. There's still 3.5 to play. 26 points the margin. They'll go back again. It's such a long way. Keys, I spoke about him a second ago. He's been on a good goal-scoring run. He needs to go back and convert here.
Yeah, he does. He needs to go and kick this. You can see they've still got energy and belief here, Adelaide. They're just going to keep taking it on.
He's kicked the goal in 16 consecutive games. Ben Keys from directly in front. He hooks it. And that has been the Crows' night. Now, when the head hits the pillow later on, I'll think what might have been had they kicked a bit straighter.
Well, that literally summarises their night. Momentum building. They're coming. They've got belief. They're running. They got through on the ropes. Pressure released because they can't kick a set shot.
It's hard to believe, but Fremantle had 10 inside 50s in this last term for 5 points. It feels as though the Crows have been dominant, but Freo have had their chances. They just can't get the final blow.
Michael Annie takes it. As the seconds tick down, the Crows will have left their run too late. You'd expect as the ball goes in along to the hot spot. Curtin was up. Sarong's down there, and they pile in on top again.
So it's been a really solid performance from the Dockers. They've been the best team most of the night, but it's one of those games where this young team, we talked about how young the Dockers are without some of their stars, hasn't been 4 quarters.
Neil Bullen in and under, working it back. It's almost a clever snap. Hit the post up the top, I think, or it's just gone through from behind, but another one for the Crows. 8-13 on the night. 4 goals the difference. Warner with the footy in his hands. Dockers crowd making plenty of noise. 53,048 in the stadium tonight on Anzac Day.
It's a big turnout, isn't it?
Massive crowd. Fremantle push to have this fixture as a permanent one on Anzac Day every year.
Well, we don't get to see too many proper night games over here in the West, so the travel requirements of the opposition teams.
Ball long to half forward, Tracy off hands. Keys taking them on. Now he can wobble one to the wing. Warner again in good position.
He's had a good night. He's had a good couple of weeks. He's put his body on the line a number of occasions. He's pretty sore as a result, maybe a bit of cramp right now, but he's building a nice patch of form.
Amos at the back had to spoil it down. Murray wanted the boundary. Tracy will keep it in play. Taking a few of them on. Did he get a handball away? No. Now holding the ball. Last minute in this one.
It's a bit sluggish, yeah. Sluggish. Josh Tracy's worked hard all day. That's why.
Yeah, 2 goals, 3. Could have had a really big night, Tracy.
Short ball for Keys again. Brayshaw just doesn't give up at any stage, even in the last minute of the match. With a comfortable lead, the Crows will run it through. Peatling, and then a high ball inside 50. But Brendan Cox is there. The Dockers' defence tonight been solid. Jeez, until that kick was a poor one from Brendan Cox. Now Curtis takes it. Crows will look to add one late one with a high ball from Worrell. Taylor Walker's down there. And we'll mark it next to the goalpost. Kick the last one of the game you would expect. Tex ends up with a couple. They make a late surge, the Crows, but it'll be too little too late.
And 9 scoring shots in this last term from 12 inside 50s. That a big last quarter, the Crows, but too little too late. There are perhaps Longview won't be happy with how the Dockers have finished this game. Let's have a look here. Cox just gets a little bit caught out. It's a good pair of hands from Tex.
Yeah. I feel like Matty Nix and the coaching staff at Adelaide just would have felt like they were just behind where they needed to be for the entire game. They would have felt like they were plugging holes throughout and just always on the chase and start well. They sort of fought back, got momentum, then missed some set shots, and then midfield starts getting on top, and then some turnovers happen. The entire game, that's how it's felt.
Freo fans in plenty of voice as Brayshaw continues to work it out of the middle. And he'll cap off an important win for Fremantle season. They lift in the Len Hall match, a big response after a down week. Winners by 18 points. Costing Adelaide in the finish. They came with a flurry in that last quarter, but in the end the Dockers had done all the damage earlier on in the game. It was really that first term that set it up for them. They led it by 25 at quarter time, and it was very even contest right the way through from there up to a game high 42 points at 3/4 time. It finishes at 18. Matthew Pavlich and Will Schofield, a very important win in the context of the Dockers season.
Yeah, very much so. They go to 4-3, and I think it was the response from the leaders tonight, perhaps, that was the most impressive. Challenged internally, externally throughout the week about their brand. Are they ruthless enough? Are they tough enough? Everything, coach had said that publicly. When the coach says that publicly, that puts a lot of heat on your leadership group and on your senior players. Alex Pearce, they're even probably saying, well, 3/4 there, not quite 4/4, but it's the response they need.
Yeah, well, I think, you look at this and they've scored 85, they've had 53 inside 50s, and they did a lot right from stoppage and scoring, but I think their game was set up from exactly what Justin Longmuir asked for before the game, which was team defence. They defended well, and that's what you have to do against Adelaide because they're such a high-scoring side. They're one of the best scoring teams in the competition. So to beat them, you have to stop them. And I thought they did that throughout the night. Some of the tactics they used to do that, they held width, right? Their wingers and their high half forwards held width, so it made the ground really big throughout the night. And then, you know, they took their chances in opposed to Adelaide, who just didn't, throughout the night, didn't take a chance.
Well, they've had 26 scoring shots from their 53 inside 50. So, I mean, that's a good night. And so so offensively, they've maintained. They probably left a few out there, Fremantle, but defensively, the bits that we were asking, Justin Lobby was asking, they delivered in spades tonight.
Huge crowd in. 53,048. Most of the Freo fans happy with the result as we get down to Sean Burgoyne.
Hey Jordan, it's a fantastic win, such a special occasion. What does it mean to you to play today?
Yeah, honestly, it just felt like, you know, we're up for a challenge. We had a bad loss last week, but, you know, the Len Hall thing and the afterleg, to be able to represent their families and those individuals tonight. There's a rich history of that club. It was amazing, mate. And, yeah, footy's not quite comparing to war at times, but, you know, to be out here and be able to play a game that, you know, in their memory is pretty special.
After the week you've had, you know, obviously you had some pretty honest conversations internally, and then you come out and you sit through the pre-game entertainment. What were you thinking then?
Yeah, we did have some pretty hard conversations during the week, and to be honest, we're all about we're a bunch of men, so let's cop it on the chin and let's put our best foot forward. And you know, Adelaide's strengths, you know, we thought if we got what our strengths are right, we could match them in the contest. So it made for a pretty good game tonight, and thankfully we'll be able to get the upper hand.
Congratulations, mate, on the win. I'll let you go back to the team, mate.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Jordan Clark there with Sean Burgoyne, and just along you were there with Isaiah Dudley, sharing a smile. Clearly, the discussions they've talked about during the week, but it's had a significant impact on the playing group. For Fremantle, they've seen a response, but for Freo, I guess it's about that consistency of seeing it every week.
Yeah, I think that's the challenge for this team. They've talked a lot publicly leading into the year that they've never been better placed and things of that nature, perhaps. So if you're going to say that, you've got to back it up through action, and it's been too inconsistent across the first 7 weeks. That style of game is more about the way they want to play it, and it was impressive. They go home tonight with the 4 points.
The Arthur Leggett medal will be presented shortly. Arthur Leggett is WA's last surviving World War II prisoner of war who had a state funeral on May 10. He passed recently at the age of 106 and actually played a really big part in these Len Hall tribute matches with reciting the ode before them. We'll find out who the recipient of the first Arthur Leggett medal is very, very shortly.
Thank you so much for being here tonight, everyone. It was a fantastic match. It's going to be 53,000 people here at Optus Stadium. But it is with great pride and deep respect that we introduce the Arthur Leggett Medal tonight in front of you all. A new and prestigious honour established to recognise the best on-ground player in our annual Len Hall tribute game. The medal is named after Arthur Leggett, a remarkable West Australian who served with extraordinary courage during World War II and later became a tireless advocate for veterans and peace. A former soldier, prisoner of war, author and humanitarian, Arthur Leggett's life, his story is one of enduring legacy and inspiration. His unwavering dedication to education, truth-telling and reconciliation has touched countless lives. The voters for this inaugural medal are, from Channel 7, Erin Phillips, Tim Gossage from SEN Radio, Sean Burgoyne from Fox Footy, and our chair for today, Ryan Daniels from Channel 7. Please, can you also put your hands together as we welcome Arthur's daughter, Susan Ma, to present the Arthur Leggett Medal on behalf of her family. And the winner of the 2025 and very first Arthur Leggett Medal is, with a maximum number of 12 votes from a possible 12 votes, from the Fremantle Football Club, Andy Brayshaw. First up, Andy, congratulations. How does it feel to be the first ever winner of the Arthur Leggett medal?
Yeah, very honoured. We spoke to someone from the Hall family. They told us the story about going to the First World War and the feathers that we're wearing tonight. A remembrance of that. He gave his emu feathers before he went off, came back and then got married to the lady that he gave the feathers to. Very honoured and great turnout tonight from everyone here, so thanks very much.
As you just mentioned, and they talked to the playing group about how much this game means to the family and the broader community of servicemen and women. How special is it as a player to be right at the heart of that and a part of it?
Yeah, very special. To be able to play actually on ANZAC Day is an absolute privilege. And yeah, the Leggett and Hall family lost someone, and there's so many other people and families that have been affected by war, and for us to be able to represent them in a small way and try and play with some courage and a bit of attitude is awesome. Just very grateful.
Mate, we're in front of 53,000 screaming fans here. It is the 28th of this incredible game, this Len Hall tribute match. How does it feel as a player? Do you go up another level on a night like tonight?
Yeah, we have Adam Reid from the footy club who presents every ANZAC Day round, and he touches on a story from war, and it's really touching every time he does. We learn something new. And it makes you play for a little bit something more than just footy. So every year is absolutely special. We're all honoured to be able to play in this game.
Mate, the microphone is yours for a few words for the crowd.
Firstly to Adelaide, well fought today. You guys were physical all day. Thanks for the battle. For the 53,000 that came tonight, thank you so much. And to every family that's been affected by war, we're honoured to play on behalf of all the ANZACs today, so thank you very much.
All right, Fremantle fans, let's hear it one more time for your inaugural award winner, Andy Brayshaw, the number 8 from the Fremantle Dockers.
Andrew Brayshaw, the Arthur Leggett medals, 37 disposals. He had 17 of those contested, 9 score involvements, 8 inside 50, 6 clearances, a big night for him. And he mentioned that story about the jumper tonight, the Len Hall tribute jumper. They've got the incredible story of how Len met his wife as he left as a 16-year-old for war. He plucked an emu feather from his hat. He gave it to the girl in the crowd. He spotted while departing Fremantle Port, and then years later, after surviving the horrors of Gallipoli and in the Middle East, during the Welcome Home March, he found that same girl. And so she gave him back that plume of emu feathers, and 2 years later they were married. And that partnership went on to last 74 years. An incredible story, and honoured in the Len Hall tribute jumper tonight. Fremantle Footy Club do it so well. It's been a big ANZAC day. 53,000 fans and 48 turning out here at Optus Stadium. As we get back down to Sean Burgoyne.
Hey mate, conversely, congratulations on winning the first ever Arthur Leggett medal. What does that mean?
It's absolutely special to have people, come and speak to the footy club about how they've been affected by war. So many people have lost their lives. So many families have been affected. So to be able to play for something this special, it means a lot.
The pre-game entertainment with the bugle and everything that was going on, that was spine-tingling, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was saying to Murphy Reid that there's no better feeling than hearing the crowd go wild after singing the national anthem, after having the minute silence. You have something, those spines down the back, and you're ready to play footy. It's amazing.
Now onto the game. Yourself, Sarong, keep just chugging along in the midfield. Young's getting some more minutes into his legs, and Bolton's just working his way in nicely. Where can you go to as a midfield group?
Yeah, we've definitely got levels to improve. I think Bolton adds so much when he comes inside. Adds a bit of class. He's able to get forward and impact on the scoreboard, and frees blokes up like Caleb to get off the chain a little bit. We're very fortunate to have Sean back as well. He's building his confidence. I thought tonight he was amazing as well.
there seemed to be a real emphasis on the defensive side of the game today. We saw some really amazing efforts, mainly by Jordan Clark and the defenders. So that must be pleasing to see as well.
Yeah, I was saying before that our ball movement all year has been really good, but our contest and our team D's let us down at times. So that was the main focus going into tonight. And I think from the first quarter, we owned the corridor, we were really physical, and that let us, impact on the scoreboard afterwards.
And on to St Kilda next Friday night in Melbourne, another huge test.
Yeah, massive test. They're playing some really good footy. We love playing on a Friday night, so to get over to Melbourne and get stuck into it's going to be a lot of fun.
Congratulations on the win, mate. Good luck.
Thanks very much.
This is Friday Night Footy on Fox, brought to you by the new Ford Ranger plug-in hybrid. Fremantle moved to 4-3 after an 18-point victory over the Adelaide Crows in front of 53,000 at Optus Stadium tonight. Brad Johnson, Eddie Betts, Lee Montagna. We said pre-game, if Freo are to play finals this year, these are the matches they need to win at home at Optus, and they did that tonight, plus a great response to that loss to Melbourne last week.
That was an excellent response, and they spoke it up during the week exactly what they wanted to achieve, and I think they ticked that one off perfectly. Fremantle, the way they held Adelaide defensively, which was one of their number one things at Fremantle, they love to do that and restrict the scoring of the opposition, and they played an attacking game early, and then were just able to keep the game on their terms due to their start midfield throughout that entire game.
It was the pressure from the start. Every time Adelaide had possession of the ball, they would just add them. The forward half turnovers were pretty high as well, and they scored off that, so it was a complete different Fremantle to last week.
When their midfield dominate like that, they rarely lose the Fremantle Dockers. Brayshaw and Sarong, again, they've been brilliant all season long, but Sean Darcy now got 3 games under his belt, getting fitter. Hayden Young with a couple of games under his belt. Shea Bolton going in there. When they play like that through the midfield, they look like a completely different side, and that's what we saw today. Their pressure and contest, they're around the footy, their clearance game, and the rest flowed off that. And I think they'll be disappointed. They left a big score on the table there to have 80 points at three-quarter time. They could have kicked triple figures again. Unfortunately, they were a bit inaccurate and maybe took the foot off the gas in the fourth quarter, but they set the win up in quarters 1 and 3. Those 2 quarters, it was 10 goals to 2. Game was over at three-quarter time, and they'd be disappointed they didn't finish it off.
Yeah, just 5 behinds in the final quarter for the Fremantle Dockers, but they wouldn't be thinking about that right now. They'd be enjoying this victory, such a huge occasion, ANZAC Day, and also considering all the talk around the Dockers during this week. I think we heard multiple people within Fremantle talk about Team D, and that was certainly on tonight. So they'll be relieved. Those tough conversations ended up with a victory, and Quinton Narkle on his Dockers debut. Here we go.
Way to go! Here in Hudson, down below, Freo, you'll be hope. We are Freo Dockers, Freo, way to go! Here in Hudson, down below, Freo, you'll be hope. We are Freo Dockers.
How beautiful to see the kids in on the song, although
It is very
the little
good.
boy on Shea Bolton's, he wants to go to bed.
I think that was strategic from Narkle. I don't know whether they sprayed the Powerade or anything in the rooms there at Freo, but grabbing the youngster. They weren't able to do that at first, so you make sure. I do love the rooms there though at Freo. They're 10 deep. That's a good crew in there. Normally it's restricted in the amount of numbers you can have in your room. There was probably 100 in there, easy.
You could sense the relief from all Fremantle people tonight, couldn't you, by the interviews we heard and just by the looks of their faces in the change rooms there. They needed this performance tonight.
Yeah, we spoke about pre-game, who they'd beaten this year, and the Dogs was probably their best win, but outside of that, it was a West Coast and Richmond. So they needed this one against a side that has been up and about really early in the season, that can score heavily as well. So that's where I think they'll take away the fact that, yes, their restriction on the Adelaide Crows and keeping them to the score that they did. I think that's the pleasing part, because, there were some key playmakers throughout the season so far for Adelaide that just could not get involved in the game at all.
It would be pretty concerning for the Crows tonight in what went wrong. The second highest scoring team in the comp, and they finished with, 67 points.
Yeah, it is.
What we've seen from the Crows this year.
Yeah, we spoke about the first 5 weeks, and I was just touching on with Joey that they scored over 100 points. 90 points when they lost to Gold Coast by 1 point. But last week against GWS, 52 points, and GWS played really well against them. And tonight, 67 points. So, with Fogg being out as well, and the forwards didn't really perform in the first half and didn't really touch the ball, that's going to be concerning, I think.
It was more just for the 42 entries. They just really didn't give the forwards much of a chance. They scored 22 times when they went in there, but they just couldn't get their ball movement going. And really, the kryptonite of any offence, John, as you know, and that's why coaches bang on about it. A good team defence can take away the offence and Fremantle's pressure and the way they set the field. You heard Andy Brayshaw said, we took away the corridor, we went after them. It wasn't a high turnover game, but Fremantle were able to restrict their run, and that set them up for the win.
So if you're watching Fremantle play at the moment and you're studying the Crows and you're coming up against the Adelaide Crows, how would you take their game away from their high-scoring game?
It's a bit like a few of the teams we've seen in recent weeks. Teams taking away Hawthorn's offence, the Sydney Swans offence. Teams that are really good offensive teams squeeze the field, take away those short uncontested marks, and not allow them to get their flow going. And Fremantle did it perfectly.
Yeah, resulted in season low inside 50s for the Crows tonight, just the 42. Season low before tonight was 52 against Geelong the other round. Let's get into match highlights thanks to Yui, and this victory really was set up by a blistering opening quarter by the Dockers. 6 goals to 38 points. That's the Dockers' third best opening term under Justin Longmuir, so third best from 5 in a big season. So that's courtesy of Max Lawton. But it really was set up in the first term.
And it was good to see, Johnny, because normally in the recent years, Fremantle have been a bit of a slow starting side. They're generally a team that feel their way into a game. And I think the message this week and the way they've been spoken is, we're getting there and we're getting straight after the opposition. We're bringing the heat, we're getting after them. And amazingly, you do that and all of a sudden you get on the scoreboard. If you focus on your defence and pressure, the offence comes off the back of it. And then from there, you then can control the game. You've done the hard work, you've shopped early. And from there, the second quarter didn't go their way. You're not going to have 4 quarters of momentum in a game. But because of the buffer, they're able to break relatively even. And then the third quarter, they regrouped again and got the work.
It started with their leaders. There, you talk about Sarong, Brayshaw, Young in the midfield, and then you got Josh Tracy, who had a quiet game last week and come out and kicked the first goal of the game from outside 50 and kicked 2 in the first.
But they got reward early, and that was the key. They set up the ground well, they brought pressure, they did all the things that they were talking, but they got the scoreboard right as well to just put the tick on top of the good work that they've done as a team in that first quarter.
Yeah, got bang for buck in that opening term, didn't they? Let's get into our KFC FLG MVP. FLG standing for...
Well, I had a big KFC bucket and it was finger licking good.
It wasn't that good, was it?
It was that good.
Andrew Brayshaw, obviously immense tonight, Joey. 37 disposals, 6 clearances, 9 score involvements. Always seems to be a toss-up between him and Caleb Zron for these on-ground medals, or he got it tonight?
Yeah, it was a unanimous decision, and probably rightly so. I mean, this guy, he's been brilliant all year. He'd absolutely be in the All-Australian calculations now that we get to sort of the quarter mark, towards the first third of the season. So the All-Australian selectors should be watching Andy Brayshaw. What he does everything. He does everything really well. He tackles, he wins clearances, he gets score involvements, meters gained. He's just become such a consistently good player for this football club.
He reads the game well, and we watched him when he was in the midfield and they lost the ball, but he could see that his teammate was going to win it, and he spread forward, ended up getting on the receiving end.
He was powerful tonight, out of stoppage. He was middle of the ground, first to the outside, next release on the wing. He did everything right tonight, Andy Brayshaw, and he deserved the medal.
Yep, you all agree with that? Andy Brayshaw over Caleb Sarong?
That was our votes in here, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's head into the newsroom, bring in John Ralph. Ralphie, you thought Brayshaw over Sarong too? And then also let's get to those MRO incidents.
Absolutely unanimous. Hey, a couple of injury issues and also some MRO action there for Adelaide. So we might start with Mitch Hinge on Andy Brayshaw, and I think it's possible that he gets a week here. As you can see here, that's the strike to the jaw. Now, the premise of the MRO is that a strike is a blow delivered with force. So I don't think that the open-handed nature of that one necessarily saves him. He makes forceful contact. Brayshaw reacts. I think it's harder to see him play against Carlton, if not just because if it's only seen as a misconduct fine, a couple of $1,000, then Michael Christian basically sets the precedent for the rest of the season. So that's a line ball decision. Now, Josh Worrell, he was in amazing form, and his availability for that clash, I think, depends on Michael Fredericks and just how much of his head makes contact with the Optus Stadium turf. This is a tackle here. Now, as you can see there is a second dumping motion, and Michael Christian will hate that one. There's not a perfect replay there, but again, Christo will have all those angles by this time tomorrow. And so if it's medium impact and it's head-high contact, he would miss. We saw with James Petley in gather round, another dumping tackle, another week suspension. Joe, you talked about those undisciplined early free kicks there. Just didn't get it right today, and I think that those 4 points were begging. Riley Phil-Thorp came back onto the ground after that nasty finger injury. Now, he had already had his fingers strapped there in that collision with Tracy. Got back onto the ground. I think that he probably had some injections into them. So Darcy Fogarty improved every day this week with that sternoclavicular issue, the shoulder issue. So you think both of them would play next week, even if not at 100%. And Luke Jackson, the big inclusion next week for Fremantle on a Friday night game against St Kilda, coming off that hamstring strain. His coach says he will be available. So a huge boost there for the Dockers.
Keen to get your thoughts, panel's thoughts on that dump tackle.
Oh, it was clearly a free kick, and the umpire made the right call there. His head doesn't look like it hits the ground, but you can get in strike for the whiplash side of things as well. So the Frederick's okay, which is the most important thing out of all of this, and that's what we want. It's the second action there, the one that he dumps him onto the ground. He gets up, kicks a ripping goal. So at the end of it, there may be a fine, and he's very lucky that he's not going to.
He's a lucky boy, Josh Roll, because that is a dangerous action with their head backwards. But he looks like he turned him just enough that he landed on the shoulder. But that could have been quite ugly for Michael Frederick and for Josh Roll if it was just slightly wrong.
Let's head into the Dockers change rooms, shall we? And Matthew Pavlich and Will Schofield are there. Who have you got, team?
We've got Caleb Sarong, who's very, very happy, and it's a pretty subdued, I think, is the best way to put it. Rooms, tell us about that game. Well, tell us about the week first, because it feels as like there was a fair bit of challenging conversation that was had during the week internally, and you must be pleased that you went out and executed tonight.
Yeah, it was. I don't want to make too much of it, but like JL challenged us early in the week, but to be honest, it was player-led. Like we kind of sat down as a playing group and kind of spoke about what we kind of want to be known for as a group. And to be honest, like the first 6 weeks we've played some decent footy, but I don't reckon you could say we had an identity or a DNA, and we've probably had that last couple of years, and we wanted to get back to that from a defensive and a toughness point of view. And I know it wasn't perfect tonight, but I think you could see that across the field that guys were valuing those two things, and that's the kind of team we want to be.
Straight into the rooms, Caleb. Great win, mate. What was spoken about in there? You were straight in. Can you give us a bit of insight?
JL was pretty happy. It was he just kind of spoke about the care that came out throughout the week. There was frustration early in the week from a playing group that we weren't playing the way we wanted to play, and then at training, if you were down at training, you would have seen a bit of frustration that we just wanted it to click, and that's kind of been a little bit of the theme. We're just wanting it pretty bad, and sometimes that you can overcorrect a few things and can look like you're not showing enough effort or whatever it is, but I think this group has shown they care a lot, and I think it came out the right way tonight.
So Justin Longmuir, obviously verbal both internally inside the four walls, but also out in the track. But tell us, you said it was player-led. So was that you? Was it the captain? Was it some of the senior leaders? Specifically, who were the players who were leading it, and what was said?
We spoke as a leadership group early on Monday morning about how we wanted to kind of look and what we wanted to get out of it. And to be honest, we didn't really have any idea what we wanted to get out of it. We just wanted to get in a room and let guys speak about how they're feeling. And Lukey Ryan, if you know Lukey, he's a man of few words in team meetings, but he spoke up. He was the first one to really lead the charge about what we want to be, and it comes out like when he speaks and guys listen, and he's one that when he does choose to speak up, you know it's coming from a place of care and passion for the club, and he's got so much love for the playing group and the club and taking it to where we want to get to, and he was probably the one that really led the charge. But all the leaders kind of spoke up and verbalised what he wanted to see this week, and I felt like we were able to kind of do that.
I thought you were really good from stoppage and clearance, and you kicked goals and you looked dangerous in front of the footy, but all the talks about how you defended. So we saw it in the first minute of the game, but probably the most pleasing, you kept it up for most of it. Would you agree? Yeah,
definitely. Like if you look at Adelaide and the way they've played, the highest scoring team in the comp, I'm pretty sure, or at least up there, and they love scoring from their back half, and especially kind of our launch pad area, and that was a big focus for us to defend that area. And we had a couple of roles that were really set up to help us own the corridor in that space, and felt like if they beat us, they either had to beat us through a contest, not through a defensive breakdown, or beat us skinny. And felt like that's able to kind of give our backs, who are really good at reading the flight of the ball, and if we can keep it predictable for them, it makes it a lot easier to defend.
You've got a few Ross Glendinning, Ben Allen medals, but your partner in crime tonight, he was outstanding. Andy Brayshaw takes home the inaugural Arthur Leggett medal. Tell us about his game.
Yeah, he's great. He just he leads by example in terms of willing himself to contests. He can never question his effort, never question his ability to get up and pressure, and that's what we want to do tonight. And I felt like he really led the charge with that from the first bounce. But yeah, he's had a great start to the year, and I felt like he's really been getting us going from a midfield point of view. There's a few of us who've gone through a few challenging little things, and he's really been taking charge in there. So it's just another game for a great start to the year for him.
A lot of the time the ground looked really big. Your wings held width, your high half forwards did as well. Was that a part of the game plan, or was that a little bit about how Adelaide play as well?
We want to do that. Like as soon as we win the ball back, we want to break and make the ground big, and hopefully that opens up pockets to the corridor or spaces for our high half backs to work. And they're the selfish roles that we talk about, the selfish ones that Jeremy Sharp plays all the time. He plays an off-ball wing that just runs all day. GPS would have been over 16 Ks of just gut running. That's defensive and offensive patterns, and the high half forwards, Michael Frederick does it time and time again. So they're the ones that might not get used all the time, but when we pierce the bubble and when we really want to, I guess, go for it, and as the game goes on, they're the ones that get used, and it might not be in the first quarter, but they wear their opponents out, and I felt like those guys just, they might not have got a lick of the ice cream tonight, but more often than not they will, especially as the game goes on.
Now, Scotty loves talking about the defenders, but and we talked about Brendan Cox and Alex Beer, so I'm keen to go to the other end just for a moment. Of course, Caleb, Josh Tracy, Jai Amos were enormous early, I thought. Maybe faded out of the game a little bit like the team did in that last quarter. Probably didn't play the full 4 quarters, but those two power forwards up there, in particular, Josh, he's having an outstanding year.
He's someone that's just super consistent. Like we know what we're going to get from him, whether it's contest to contest, just kicking it to him and knowing he's either going to mark it or bring it to ground, or week to week. Like the way he shows up every week is the same, and that's credit to his preparation. He's one of the most professional guys. He's taken a lot of steps in that area in the last few years, and it's credit to him. He's an absolute pro. And then Jai, I think JT's really bringing him along. Jai's one of the most talented guys going around, and it's going to come. It's going to really come, and he's potentially not getting the looks that he I guess he deserves, or that we internally think that he deserves. But he's trying his backside off, and it'll turn for him. And I think JT's been a massive help for him, and those two are just going to get better and better.
I'm sure they will. 53,000, more than 53,000 fans in the house tonight. They enjoyed not only your work, but the club's work. Well done on the victory.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Dave.
Great to hear from Caleb Sarong. Hardly a surprise that he was one of the best on ground tonight. Do you think it's interesting hearing all this discussion, Joey, about the conversations they had during the week and how they wanted to respond? Do you think sometimes they're almost a little bit too hard on themselves? They put so much pressure on them to respond tonight.
It does feel that way, the way they've spoken about the week, but it just goes to show this group how invested they are, that they are driven to succeed. They understand that they've never won this premiership and they're after it. And, I'm sort of listening to that, I was like, gee, they took, they really sat down and drilled in to their football. They weren't playing that bad. It wasn't like it was crisis time, like we've seen at a few other clubs already this season, but it just shows what it means to this young group and how committed they are.
Can that sometimes work against them when they're so hard on themselves after a 10-point loss to Melbourne?
It can week in, week out, because you hear about the Luke Ryan influence, for example, in the meeting speaking up. Now, does he just go quiet again next week, or do you hear from him in a different way because of off a win? So there's all these dynamics within a footy club that can motivate you, that can get you up for 1 week, you can sustain it for 2 or 3, or you can drop off significantly the week after because you relax in that mindset because you've achieved off the back of a big week where you've been hit between the eyes.
And they're such a young group as well, being in a town with 2 teams. The pressure of the media could play some part in that as well. The young boys might be on social media, sitting on their phone, reading articles that is about them, and they do go in their shell.
It's been a challenge for them in the past. They win and they drop games they shouldn't, and they try and get back. So that's just something they need to continue to work through. But they are still a very young group. I think they're still bottom 5 in the comp for age and experience.
Yeah. But one thing you can rely on is Caleb Sarong performing. He was, again, brilliant tonight. Could have won the Arthur Leggett medal if not for his teammate Andrew Brayshaw. 32 disposals, Caleb, 10 clearances, 8 score involvements.
Yeah, you can put this in the book. Brownlow night, be 3 votes A. Brayshaw, 2 votes C. Sarong, and then take your pick for 1 vote. But he's so clean, Jono. When we watch him, his handball game and their ability tonight to handball their way through and take the game on and trust their hands was significant. It was obvious watching, and he's a massive part of that, to start the handball chain with his ability to break tackles and draw in opposition and get it to the outside. And I mean, this guy for the last 2 years has been a top 10 player in the game. He's back-to-back best and fairest, back-to-back All-Australian. I still probably think over in the eastern side of the country, we underrate how good he actually is. He's one of the best players in the competition, and sometimes I think we overlook him when we have that discussion.
Yep, absolutely. He doesn't miss the easy handball. That's what the good players do in the competition, because he just hits you, Joey, and then he's off to the next one and working it out. It's not at the toes of someone, put them under pressure like we did see throughout the game with some of his teammates. It's just clean and go and move on to the next contest. That's why he racks them up. That's why he's so effective in the game.
And you speak about when the game was won, it's won in the third quarter when they just piled on all those goals, and he had 12 disposals in that third quarter, 4 clearances, and just led the way.
Right, so you said Brayshaw 3, Sarong 2. Who are you going 1?
Bolton.
Yeah, Shea Bolton probably gets the 1.
Yeah. Give me a Brownlow medal announcement. S. Bolton.
S. Bolton, 1.
Thank you. We are going to...
Fremantle. Seems to run. 2 votes. Fremantle.
Hey.
Brayshaw, 3 boots.
You might get a gig and reading it out, mate.
Andrew Dillon's going to take these notes.
I'll get lost there for a second.
It's a tough month ahead for Fremantle before the bye. So that just shows what a critical win it was tonight, because the Saints are never easy, being coached by Ross Lyon. The Magpies, we saw what kind of form they're in today. And then the Giants, that's at NG Stadium, and Port Adelaide.
And then they've got the Gold Coast Suns as the 5th one, which is away also, and then the bye. Yeah, so it's a big 5 weeks for this footy club, and that's why I get the sense, Joey, that the way they were set up this week, because they had to tick this one off at home. They, if they can get the Pies at home and Port Adelaide and do the same sort of thing, they're massive wins in this run, because 5 runs, 5 games, 3 away, it's a tough block.
Yeah, and they generally are a lot of the time. There's not many easy ones, but we're going to know more, aren't we? I mean, it's a bit obvious to say they could split them 2 and 2 and they can still be mid-pack.
Yes.
They could go 3 and 1 and all of a sudden we start thinking, gee, this team maybe is the side that many people thought at the start of the year.
Plenty to get through this weekend for the rest of the ANZAC round, and then of course when it all concludes, we conclude with Bounce, Jason, the crew. They always provide the entertainment, and wrap up the weekend with plenty of laughs, and then it's over to your crew. Joey, David King, Jay Clark and Joey Montagna with a full review of round 7.
Leader fights division.
All right, folks, there we go. That wraps it up for another game. But before we do that, I'll just give you a look at the stats, just in case we didn't see those. Welcome in, of course, Sheila May, Chia, mega love shout out. Addy G, as I said, happy man. Taddy, how you going, brother? What's happening over there? Good to see you. Thanks, Kylie. We'll see you at the next game. And, of course, we had the vote in today. Who's going to win? 53% went for the Dockers, so we got that one right again. The Dockers could only put on 5 behinds in that final term, but they were good enough to hold on. Adelaide Crows came home with a few. They put on 4 goals, 5 to cut the margin back to 18 points. There we go. So by that token, it was still a good, solid win by the Dockers. They deserved the win, full control, another great game. Did we run through the goal scorers? Let's run through them just again, and the disposal getters for everybody, and then we'll wrap this one up. Riley Phil-Thorp was the leading goal scorer out on the ground for Adelaide with 3. Taylor Tex Walker with 2. Saligo, Rankine, Rochelle, Neil Bullen with the other singles for Adelaide. For Fremantle, Josh Tracy, Oscar McDonald, Michael Frederick, Jai Amiss, all with 2 each. Young, Swishkowski, Reed, Shai Bolton, all single goal scorers there for Freo. Disposal getters, of course, Andrew Brayshaw, best on ground today, 37 touches. What a fantastic effort he did, 37. 17 kicks, 20 handballs, 4 marks, 5 tackles, 6 clearances. And, of course, his mate there with him in the centre, Caleb Sarong, fantastic. I'm sure they'll get the 3 and 2 Brownlow votes come Brownlow night. 32 touches, only the 6 kicks. He was a link-up man, 26 handballs, 2 tackles, 10 clearances. Fantastic job there. Rory Laird was the top one for Adelaide with 27 touches. Nice job by him. I'll just roll down. Isaac Rankine with 19, Saligo with 18, of course. Shai Bolton, great game from him. Good to see him back. Probably the 1 vote for him, 22 touches, 11-11, 3 clearances, and 1 goal too. I did like the way he played tonight. He was really, really good. Corey Wagner there, 16 there. Josh Tracy on 15, kicking 2 goals, 3 there for the Dockers. Another good game. Tex Walker, well, he's a little bit quiet. He had the 12 touches, 8 kicks, 2 goals, 1 he kicked for the big Texan. But, of course, Riley Phil-Thorp, he did look quiet, but he still did kick 3 goals too. He only had the 5 kicks. Every kick he had, he scored. So that was a pretty good effort by him, all things said and done. There we go. Disposal count wasn't much in it. Plus 13 to the Dockers. A few more kicks there. 23 kicks in favour of Adelaide, but the handballs 36 to the Dockers. There we go. Inside 50s. Let me have a look at the scoring shots again. Dockers went inside 53 times for 25 scoring shots. Not too bad. And, of course, Adelaide were kept to only 42 inside 50s for their 22 So there we go. Plus 11 to the Dockers. The Dockers defence certainly holding up well in their mids from not allowing Adelaide to get down there into their forward 50. Disposal efficiency raised up a little bit there, 70% there. Free kicks all pretty well tight up, 24 and 25. Umpires had a field day there, blowing the whistle. They do like to do that sometimes. I prefer when they let the game sort of roll on a little bit and just not give those ticky-touch free kicks. Definitely makes, well, for a little bit more and brings the crowd into it a little bit more as well. But the packed crowd there of about 53,000 there at Optus Stadium tonight. It was a full crowd, as was it at the MCG today, the other Anzac Day game with Collingwood Essendon, I should say, 92,000 there. So it was a great day of football for all. Hit-outs all pretty tied up there. Clearances, Dockers by 8. Centre clearances, Dockers by 4. And Dockers by 4 in the stoppage clearances, so not too bad there. Contested best possessions, all pretty even, 128, 122, only plus 6, plus 10 in the uncontested. The Dockers were just a lot better usage of the ball. Turnovers, reasonably low turnover game tonight. As I said, it was a beautiful night out there for football. It was probably about 17 degrees, not much breeze that I could see. It just looked like a perfect evening. The marks, plus 7 to Adelaide. Marks inside 50. Strangely enough, the Adelaide Crows, 14, twice as many as the Dockers, just on 7. There we go. Contested marks, Crows stronger in the air by 1. Let's just pull up the reload the ladder and we'll see where these two teams sit. Fremantle, of course, played the Adelaide Crows. Adelaide Crows dropped down to 6th now. Played their 7 games. They've won 4, lost 3. Sitting on 16 points, 2 games off top. And the percentage, 124-2. Of course, Fremantle, there we go, up into 8th. They're in the 8th, folks. Fremantle in the 8th. They're a game clear in the 8th. Played 7. They've won 4 now and lost 3. So that was a vital win. Back-to-back wins there for Freo. So they'll be certainly happy there. But they've got 2 away and 2 at home in the next 4 games, which is going to be an interesting road for them, to say the least. They probably need to win at least 2 of those. I would think they'd need to at least win the home games, although one of the home games they do have top of the leader ladders Collingwood to play over there. So that'll be a tough game over there. But if Fremantle play the way they did today, they'll be definitely in with a good chance there. But the good news for Fremantle supporters, they are in the top 8 tonight. They're sitting 8th, as I said, on 16 points, a game clear of Western Bulldogs sitting in 9th. That's how the ladder sits, folks. That is how the ladder sits. And, of course, early wins are good wins. And you don't want to be chasing your tail come the end of the season to grab those wins, that is for sure. Anyway, folks, I think that's about all I've got for this one tonight. Don't forget, as I said before, coming up, we've got a little bit of football action there tomorrow. Saturday football should be some good games, interesting games. Of course, 1:20 p.m. Melbourne time. You've got the first game of the day, which is St Kilda taking on the Brisbane Lions there at Marvel Stadium. That's followed, of course, by Port Adelaide over at home there at Adelaide Oval, taking on North Melbourne. And, of course, tomorrow night, 7:35 p.m. Melbourne time, should be a fantastic game. That at Manuka Oval is GWS Giants taking on the Western Bulldogs. That is going to be a ring-a-ding-ding game. My selections, though, folks, I think Brisbane Lions, I think they'll bounce back after a couple of losses, and I think they'll get the job done over St Kilda there at Marvel Stadium. I think Port Adelaide should have a comfortable win there over North Melbourne. The third game, the Giants, the Bulldogs, that's a tough one. Maybe we can just put a draw up for that one. Why not? It's a big rivalry. Should be a ripper game. They're the games tomorrow coming up, folks. If you want to listen to some of those games, I should be able to cover 1 or 2 or 3 of those. I hope so. I can do that for you good folk out there. But anyway, that's all I got for this time around. Thanks, everyone, for coming in. Hope you enjoyed Anzac Day football. Of course, the Collingwood Essendon game, followed by the Fremantle Dockers and Adelaide. Well done to Collingwood and Fremantle. Victors today on this special day, Anzac Day, of course. Certainly a privilege for the 4 teams to be playing on ANZAC Day. And of course, it's a great way to celebrate the ANZACs and those who fought for us in the wars, etc. like that. All right, folks, that's all I got for this time around. So until next time, ciao for now, and we'll see you at the next game.